Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is story about what if Naruto stole the sacred scroll and found a smaller scroll inside part 1. Before I start, please do support for more amazing content and comments for part 2. Do consider to subscribe my channel and share my video to your friends and check out the description as well. Let's start the video. Life isn't fair, but no one ever said it was. The day I was born, the nine-tailed fox attacked and I became the piranha of the village. The person everyone blamed for their loss. When I was 4, I was kicked out of the orphanage that I had been placed in 2 years prior. I had a bag packed at the time, knowing it wasn't going to be long. I lived on the streets with only an extra pair of clothes, the baby blanket I was found in, and some food that only lasted a few days. Due to that shortage, I took to stealing what I need. I found an entrance in the back of an old utility shack in the red light district. Eventually I was caught and brought in front of the Hokage. I had been on the streets for almost 3 years at this point, and trust was not something I gave away, but I had known him before, so he was one I could trust. He set me up in an apartment on the border of the red light district because the working girls always were understanding. I had lived pretty low-key for the following year. I kept to myself, which made it easier, but just before the academy started I lost all that I had gained in the last year. My apartment was set ablaze by a bunch of drunks. I was only able to save the baby blanket, so I once again was left with nothing. All of this led to now, with me sitting in my hospital room with the Hokage. "We can get you another place," and he said. "I don't think so, Gigi," I said, cutting him off. "You will not be going back on the streets again. But you know damn well they will come again. This time the fire was contained mostly to my apartment, but next time it could be the whole place. I won't put others at risk, Gigi, just so I can live in the main part of the village." I could tell he was proud but also sad. He didn't know it, but I knew why I was treated the way I was. I was a Jinchuriki of the Nine Tails, and though I was still human as everyone else, they saw me as the demon reborn. Gigi had outlawed anyone from talking about it so the younger kids wouldn't hate me, but the plan backfired. The kids saw the hate their parents held for me and acted the same. "Then where will you go?" "Well, I play above the Hokage monument sometimes, and a few months back I found an old cabin." He tensed as he spoke, but I ignored it. "It needs some work, but it will be a roof over my head." "Naru," but I didn't let. "It will be fine, Gigi. No one goes up there anymore, so they won't find me. There is plenty of room to grow food and plenty of small game to catch. Even a small lake close to catch fish. With all of that I can avoid the village for the most part, and save my money." "You have always been a smart child," he said, smiling. "But what of building supplies? I may not have been up to the home in a few years, but I know a tree came through the roof only 2 years ago. Could you help me with that, Gigi?" "That I can, if you promise to let some of my trusted Umbu help you. I know a few in particularly that would love to help you. Even I can help you get a garden set." We turned to see my longtime Dr. Kiko. She was very old, much older than the Hokage. She was a rare one not to fear me. Having girl around may help as well, since she will not be taking the Kunanki classes. "Yeah, you heard her right. I am not a boy, as most everyone has been led to believe. To the village I am Naruto Uzumaki, the dumb happy-go-lucky boy that is totally oblivious to why I am hated. In reality my name is Naru Uzumaki. I have above-average intelligence that could possibly rival some Naros. I know very well why I am hated and even know who my parents are. Though the Hokage doesn't know that I figured that part out. Due to my status, the Hokage informed the council I was a boy when I was brought before them as an infant. He knew that as a girl I would be under more constant threat from those in the village that wanted to use me. The only reason the orphanage didn't realize was because I was potty trained by the time I was placed there. Now I had a seal to hide, since soon it would become much more obvious that I wasn't a boy. The seal made my changing features more masculine, and even made my long blonde hair look short and spiky. My intelligence was also hidden. This was my idea, as more people would fear me if I was smart more than the idiot everyone loved to hate. Having everyone underestimate me would also play well in the academy, as I would play the dead last and be paired with the 2 top students. That pairing had never failed, and as we had an Uchiha coming up in the class, he was bound to be the top student, as he was the second son of the clan head. The Uchiha clan was too prideful to let their second-in-line heir not be the best, and they would never not let him not make genin first time. With all that settled, it was time for me to get into my new place then for my long undercover mission. The move went well. I had a month before the academy, so I worked on my new home. As I had agreed to the first day of work, the 2 Umbu arrived. The first was Kat. He was new to the Umbu, at least officially, but he was told my gender due to his ability to control my fuzzy guest. His ability would also help because he can create wood. The second was Snake. She was tough and a bit crazy, but underneath it all she was kind. The first day of the build was the longest. Kiko came up and we started clearing what would be my garden. Snake was making frequent runs to the village for tools and other supplies since the plumbing needed a total overhaul. I was lucky the well was still in good condition, and with the spring close it didn't run the risk of going dry. Cat had the easiest time out of us all. It took a lot of chakra, but all he rejuvenated the wood which repaired all the wooden damage. As for the tree that fell into the house, I kept it since it was still living and was starting to grow up towards the sky. It took the rest of the month to get everything else set in the house. I didn't have electricity, but lamination seals would cover light. You walked in the front door and was in the center on the room that had the dining table. To the left was the living room/study. The fireplace was in the center with large windows that looked to the fenced garden and smoke house. The kitchen was simple but nice. There was no fridge, but I did have a nice old cast iron stove to cook with. Under the stairs was the modern bathroom, which was not as simple as the rest of the home. A large claw-foot tub sat to one side. It was hard to figure out, but with seals I would be able to control the water temp without the need of a traditional water heater. The bedroom was lofted above the living and study area. The loft had a large window that framed the chimney that looked through the tree onto the nearby Night Falls. When the Hokage was finished, he placed seals in a 5-acre radius with the home in the center. He said all the land was mine by right, though he wouldn't explain why, but for now, to draw less attention, only the 5 acres would be sealed, only to allow people, either himself or I gave permission, to enter. This would keep me safe and allow me to drop the seal and be myself. Today, though, was the first day of the academy and would be the real test of my alter ego Naruto. For the most part, one had avoided people unless I had to. This kept my cover intact, but now I would have to interact with people, so it would be a challenge. I ignored the Hokage as he spoke at the entrance ceremony. Instead, I observed those around me. Standing in the courtyard was 15 ninja hopefuls. About 15 were from civilian families that were looking to gain the prestige of having a ninja in the family. 10 of the civilians I recognized as kids from the orphanage. Being a ninja was a way to get out of the life. Another unsizable chunk was from ninja families, but not those of clans. What was left was myself and 7 clan ninja. Looking closely, I noticed they were heirs or in line to be. Having this many clan heirs in one year was unheard of. It was common for some clan heads to have children around the same time, like the Nara, Akimichi, and Yamanaka, but for 7 clan heads to have heirs in the same year, no. As a Nara would say, this was troublesome. After the speech, we filtered into the classroom to meet our instructors. The head of the class was Chunin Irika Yumino. He was young with a scar crossing the bridge of his nose. Being a natural chakra sensor, I could tell his overall He chakra was calming, though it spiked with a feeling of uneasiness when I passed, but otherwise he was not showing any ill intent. His assistant was another story. Mizuki was older than Irika, and you could feel the envy coming from the man on that Irika was giving the full title of sensei. When I passed him, it was pure hate, and was surprising he wasn't releasing killer intent. I took a seat in the back next to the sleepy Nara heir and the chubby Akimichi. They would be quite so, it was better than the rest. I could already see girls starting to swoon over the Uchiha. Being a founding clan made them powerful in the eyes of the village. To the girls swooning, he was a way up. The levels in the village was simple regular civilian clan, ninja, and ninja clan. The ninja clans themselves had a system, and currently the Uchiha were the top and had always been the top 3. They had been told from a young age that marriage was the best way up. The young Sasuke was bound to at least become head of the police, which held power of its own. Most of these girls would not make it to the final year, and if they did, they were not likely to make a genin. In the last 7 years or so, on average, only 3 teams had made it. This was primarily due to the control the civilian council was given. The council wished for more of their children to join the ranks. This made many teams fail in the genin exam. Even if one of the students in the team had the skills, the civilian members would end up not meeting the jonin standards. All this made me shake my head at the thought of the pain in the ass council. Uzumaki! Mizuki yelled, breaking me out of my daze. Sorry, you say something? I asked, and got a laugh from even Irika. Yes, I did. Now Shikamura pointed out that you weren't introduced. Mizuki said, so stand and do so. My name is Naruto Uzumaki. I like ramen, trying new ramen, and Gigi. I dislike how long it takes to make ramen, I said, all so cheerful that it could make me sick. My dream is to be the Hokage. Like a loser like you could be Hokage, said one of the boys, and the class laughed. Irika calmed the class down. Now he has just as much chance as anyone else to become Hokage, he said. All the Hokages have been from powerful clans, sensei, said a pink-haired girl. No, they haven't, I said without think. Should I be smart? Yes, they have, she screeched. The first and second were Senju, the third is a Sarutobi, and the fourth was a Namikaze. Namikaze never become a clan, I said. How to play this? Maybe I asked Gigi, and he said that. Well, your Gigi is stupid then. My Gigi is the Hokage, so I don't think so. This caused all the kids to break into arguments. The loudest was Sasuke. You're a clanless orphan, he is not your Gigi dope, he said. At such a young age, he was already starting with the Uchiha pride. Iruka finally stepped in by using his justa that made his head big. Enough! He yelled. We were all shocked as he raised his voice. Now before this gets any worse, I will clear it up. Naruto at right, the fourth Hokage was not a clan. It was slated to once he produced an heir, but he sadly passed before he was married. He was also an orphan, so he was given a surname. Now that is settled, time to start. I zoned for the rest of class, and at lunch I sat away from everyone. Instead I observed. I found that all the clan heirs were most likely to make it to Genin on the first try, so they were my targets. Shino Aburame was the first. With his sunglasses and a high-collared t-shirt you could hardly make out his face. As all the Aburame, he was quiet and could be seen studying the bugs in the yard. Also at his table was Kiba Inuzuka. Loud and boisterous is the best way to describe him. Second in line as heir to the Inuzuka clan, you would expect him to be an alpha male, but he wasn't. He was trying too hard but wasn't a natural like I heard his sister was. Instead he was a hot-headed beta. Another table away you saw Shikamaru Nara and Choji Akimichi. Sitting next to them had given me some insight. Shikamaru was the typical lazy Nara. This would cause those in class to think of him as a slacker, but he was far from it. Naras have intelligence higher than my own, which made them lazy in life, unless it came to something they cared about. Choji was kind, and for a moment I didn't think he had what it took to be a ninja. Then someone called him fat, and he flipped shit. Normally with these two there would be a third clan member, but she was swooning over the Uchiha. Her name was Ino Yamanaka. She was very chatty, and someone I knew I wouldn't get along with. Though she seemed she would be good to gather intelligence. She was friends with the pink-haired girl from earlier, who I found out was named Sakura, and I knew that would be troublesome. The last was the Hyuga princess Hinata. I had met her while I was still living on the streets. She had been being bullied and I stepped in. Since then she could be spotted from time to time following me. She hadn't spoken to me and was very shy, which was very, very odd for a Hyuga. She was nice though, and in time I could see her being a close friend. I went back to my lunch only to be interrupted by none other than Sasuke Uchiha. So you think you are cool, huh? He said. Never said anything like that, I said, taking a bit of my sandwich. My ignoring him seemed make him angry as he hit the sandwich from my hand. Come on, that was all I had today. Saying you know the Hokage personally make you say that, dope. I looked to see large portion of the people watching. I wasn't saying it to be cool, I said. I said it because it is true. I call the Hokage Gigi and have for a long time. You can go find an Umbu and ask them, just about all of them have seen me with him. Liar. I turned to see that his fan club had come over and a brunette leading the pack. I'm not lying, just ask. And why would the Hokage want to be around a monster like you, said Sakura. I was stunned at first. It wasn't the first time I had been called that, but it was always from an adult that knew what I housed. What did you call me? I asked, wanting to clarify. You heard her, dope, Sasuke said, smirking at the pleasure he was receiving from seeing me belittled. You're a monster, said one girl. A killer, said another, and they continued, and I tried to block it out. It didn't work though. Shut up! I yelled as I stood and clenched my fists. This scared the girls, but Sasuke stood still, and after the shock faded he stepped toward me. Are you threatening me? He asked. I shook my head, but he didn't stop. Yes, you are, your fists are still clenched, he then swung, but I dogged. It wasn't that I couldn't beat him, Snake had made sure I could handle myself, it was that my disguise as an idiot could be blown if I fought him. I dogged best I could, but as I turned around him I was tripped, by who I don't know, as by now a group of boys gathered yelling fight. I resigned to my fate as Sasuke jumped on top of me. For his age he had some hard punches, but I had gotten worse. Soon I could tell my lip was bleeding and my ribs were bruising as he had alternated between my face and ribs. I knew that I would have to go to Kiko as soon as they let me. Even with the fuzzball in my gut, Gigi had always wanted me to be seen, and she agreed. What is going on here? Sasuke was yanked off me. I looked to see Iruka standing above us. Soon other teachers gathered. Explain. He stated sensei, Sasuke said, and the girls chimed in trying to collaborate Sasuke's story. I have meaning to believe he didn't, and as he is the one getting beat and isn't fight back, I would agree with my source. I looked to see a cowering Hinata at the doorway. Luckily no one else saw here. Now Sasuke, you will have detention tomorrow. Every go to the classroom while I bring Naruto to the nurse. Everyone groaned and headed to class. Sasuke shot me a look that I could clearly tell meant he wasn't finished with me. Iruka came over and helped me up. Come on, Naruto, let's go to the nurse. I instantly pulled away. Sensei, I can't. Naruto, I know you have. It's not that I don't want to, Sensei, but I can't, I said, and he looked at me. Okay, then who do I need to take you to then? He asked. You still need to be looked at. Kiko at the hospital. He nodded and carefully picked me up and headed to the hospital. After getting me into my private room, Irika went back to class. He didn't want to originally, but I assured him I would head back after I was checked out. Sitting alone for a bit, a new person came in. She was clearly Hyuga, but I had never seen her, and as no one ever came to my room unless they had to. I was shocked when she spoke nicely. Hello Naruto, my name is Nori and I am Lady Kiko's trainee, she said. Her calling me Naruto meant that Kiko had yet to tell her about me. Where is Kiko? She will be here soon, but she wished that I get to know you, she said, sitting. Honestly, I have wanted to see you for some time. To get to know the young boy Lady Hinata seems to be infatuated with. At this I could help but laugh. She was taken aback. No need to be rude, she said, putting her hands on her hips and getting red-faced with anger. You should feel honored by Lady Hinata's feelings. It's not that, I said, stopping my laughter. I do feel honored in a way, but I am not what Hinata thinks I am. If you are referring to the, she pointed at my stomach, you are not that, and she would see that. It's not that either, Nori. I turned to see Kiko got yourself in a spot of trouble the first day, Neru. Not my fault, it was the Uchiha, I said. Nori now seemed a little confused. I am happy to hear you don't see me as the beast, Nori. Is that why you chose her, Kiko? I knew Kiko was thinking of leaving the medical field. She was old even by the Hokage standards, and the only reason she hadn't retired yet was because of me. For the last 4 years she had been looking for a replacement. One reason, she said, coming closer, she is also very trustworthy, and you will need that in the coming years until that mask of yours drops. I am very confused, Nori admitted. I am not who Hinata thinks I am because my name is not Naruto, I said. It's Neru. You're I nodded, answering her inevitable question. It is why only I, and now you, are permitted to treat her. How many people know? 7 now that you know, I said, though Kiko tensed, but I gave it no thought. I should tell Hinata though. It would be rude for me to keep her thinking that if she has a crush on me. Is that wise? Kiko asked, finally checking me. She is the one that went to Irika-sensei when the bastard was hitting me, I said. Plus I observed the people today and she is trustworthy and maybe can help keep my cover if everyone thinks she has a crush. Maybe teach you the Kunanki skills you will miss. I have Snake for that. At that both women laughed. Okay, maybe you're right on that. Lady Hinata could teach you proper edict, Nori said. This caused us all to laugh, but soon I was clear and Kiko brought me back to class. After class I left before Sasuke could catch up. Hinata had no problem though, as she slipped away from her bodyguard and followed me to Nidami Falls. I sat at the water meditating, seeing if she would come out, but she wouldn't. Come on out, Hinata, I heard an eep and continued. I made sure you followed me here so we could talk without Ko. She slowly walked out, poking her fingers into each other. She truly was shy and was crushing. What do you want to talk about? She stuttered. Not quite here, as this place isn't sealed. Follow me a little way, she nodded and followed. Soon we made it to my cabin and I opened the door for her. She sat at the table and out of the place. Is this why you're home? Yes it is, but that's not what we are here for, I said, going to the stove and placing a kettle on it. It's about your crush, she eeped, and for a moment I thought she was going to pass out, but she didn't. Who told you? That's not the point, I said, not wanting to sell Nori out. Though she was new, she was nice, and she was close to Hinata. The thing is, I'm not who you think I am. Naruto, she said sweetly as to try and reassure me. That's not my name. She was stunned, but let me continue. Before I show you the truth, you have to promise me you will never tell anyone until I come out. Are you gay? She asked, surprised. What, no? Sorry, but I assumed when you said come out, she said, poking her fingers together. Anyway, I promised to keep the secret. Okay then, I then bit my finger, causing it to bleed, and lifted the nap of my hair. Under reveled the seal. Relishing the seal, I felt comfortable for the first time all day. My hair became its long locks with the red tip like a fox's tail. My face had thinned from the chubby boys to that of a girl, and even my eyes more sharp in appearance. The color I knew had changed, as well as the seal made them a sky blue, but as a girl they had flexes of purple in them. So yeah, this is the real me. You're a girl. My name is Neru Uzumaki and I am quite different than the Naruto you know. This explains why you were fuzzy with my Byakugan, she said in astonishment. You looked at me that way. Not to see your. She yelled, shaking her hands, embarrassed at what I had implied. To find you sometimes I would, but you always appeared fuzzy as if under some kind of hinge. The seal explains part of it. So you're not off put that I'm a girl? Well, I had a crush on you, yes, but my original interest was that you puzzled me with the fuzziness and the weird chakras. I only started having a crush on you maybe a month ago. This made sense why she was so willing to let go. Wait, weird chakras? As in two, can she see its chakra? What do you mean chakras? I asked, trying not to show I already knew that. You have two unique chakras, she said. One is blue like normal chakra, the other is red, but I think you already know this. I don't know what you're talking about, I said, denying what was in me. Just then the kettle whistled and I jumped at the noise. Walking over to the stove, I reached for my cups, but she spoke again. Neru, I already know about the nine tails. This caused me to drop the cups. How? I asked as I bent down to clean up the ceramic sharps. My father left paperwork from a council meeting out, she said, coming over to me. I think he meant to so I would stop following you, but if I found out that way he wouldn't get in any legal trouble. But that didn't turn you off? Why should it, she said. I have watched you for almost 2 years and in that time you have done nothing to show that you are the beast. Others should really see that. This caused me to laugh, but after getting new cups we started our tea and talked for a long while. We talked about everything and it was great to be able to talk to a girl my age. Now that she knew I wasn't a boy she was very open, but she agreed to still act as if I was a boy while I was still in disguise. It started to get late so she left, but I was happy for the first time that I had a friend. Months flew by and now it was the last week. Along the way I had made some more friends. Shikamaru, Choji, and Kiba would hang out with me, and though they didn't know my secret I suspected that Shikamaru knew something was off. Sasuke hadn't started any fights outside of Taijutsu class. His fangirls were another story and he seemed to edge them on. They had divided in two midway through the year when Sakura and Ino's friendship fell apart. Sakura's group was worst and would hide mine or my friends' things. That group was not very civil to anyone Sasuke deemed unworthy. It was worse when they saw Sasuke eye Hinata, not as unworthy but as a prospect, as she was the only known girl not to like him. They decided to try and make her life hell, but every time the prankster king got them. They learned not to mess with her though. Now it was for the daily gossip form group Ino. She was a great way to hear what was going on in the village, even if it was only rumor. Her group of fangirls would make great intelligence gathers if they passed. The group met every morning in the same spot under the large oak, so it wasn't hard to eavesdrop. Normally every girl had different news, but today they only had one thing. What was with all those Umbu last night? Said one of the girls as I sat in the tree above them all. They went to the Uchiha district then was searching for someone, said another. That's odd, the Uchiha haven't been on good terms with the village. They have been butting heads for months with the Umbu entering their lands. I heard they were searching for some killer this morning, said another. Someone must have escaped the prison, Ino said. Impossible Bear has that locked tight, no way he would let anyone escape. Even if they did they wouldn't make it to the village. The bell then rang and it was off to class. This is when I noticed that Sasuke was missing. He had shown no signs of being ill, so I looked to Hinata indicating the seat, but she shook her head. That's when Irika-sensei had come in. Normally his chakra was calm and happy, but not today. It was somber like a storm at a funeral. That's when it hit me, someone was dead. Not just someone but a lot of people, maybe a whole clan worth. Class is cancelled for the rest of the week, he announced. This caused many students to cheer. Your summer homework list will be mailed to your house and classes will reconvene in the fall. Sensei, who died? I said. This silenced everyone in the room and caused looks to be shot at me. Come on Naruto, be happy, classes are out early, Kiba said. Naruto, I right, Kiba. Shikamaru said no way they would cancel finals unless something happened. Your parents should inform you all when you return home, he said. Was it the Uchihas? I asked, working with what the group said earlier. This caused gasps all around and outcry from Sakura. The Uchiha wouldn't all be dead, you idiot, she screeched while jetting out of her seat, causing the chair to hit the ground. They are the most powerful clan in Konoha. Naruto is correct, Sakura, Irika said before Sakura could lunge at me as she was bound to me. Everyone can't be dead, she said, slumping the ground. Since Naruto has confused you all, I guess I need to explain. he said, giving me a look I just shrugged off. Last night Itachi Uchiha killed the entire Uchiha clan, sparing only Sasuke. I didn't hear the rest as I rushed out of the room. It couldn't be true. Itachi was the only nice Uchiha I had ever met. I met him when I was 5, and he had just joined Umbu at 13. While I was living on the streets, he would keep the Uchiha police away from my hideaway. When he joined Umbu, he offered to help me train. I almost had even told him my secret a few months back when the old man added him to the group that could enter my land. What worried me now was someone else. Running through the town, I ignored all the looks and glares I received as I made my way to the ramen shop. He had shown me the place after he found me, and I was always welcome there when I couldn't afford food. Even now, I ate there a few times a week. I entered to see Tucci standing at the counter. He pointed me to the back as if to know why I was there. Ignoring the customers, I ran to the back where the shop entered the alley to his home. I ran up the stairs and to his daughter's room. Ayam was laying on her bed, curled up to the stuffed cat Itachi had given to her only a month ago. He had given her a lot of gifts over the years, but this was special cause it wasn't for her but so someone special to both of them. I came as soon as I heard, I said, sitting next to her. I unsealed the mark so she could see the real me as she preferred it. Her father didn't know, but I had shown here a few months back so I could have an older girl to talk to. He had to do it. Her face was wet with tears and I could tell she had been crying for hours. Had to? They wanted to start a civil war, she said, sitting up. He did it to save the village. I am guessing you aren't supposed to know this. No, she said, smiling, but he didn't want me to think of him that way, for, instinctually, she put her hand on her stomach. The Hokage doesn't know, right? I asked. Ayam and Itachi had been a couple since I had known them both. They had met in the academy, but when Ayam didn't continue, he still came to see her. They kept it secret for her safety. As heir to the Uchiha clan, he was expected to marry another Uchiha, but he was in love with her. Tucci liked him so well he agreed to keep the secret even when Ayam found out she was pregnant. Tucci knew the shame that would come from Ayam being pregnant at that age and unmarried, but he didn't care. Itachi loved his daughter and agreed that when the child was born they would come out, as then there was nothing the clan could do then. No, please don't tell him, she said, begging me. If he founds, the council will, and they will try to take the baby. I didn't plan to, I said with a smile. This is Itachi and I, and yours, baby. They will not know unless it is needed. He also said that by Uchiha law this baby is heir, she said, trying not to sob. Another reason they can't know, I said, wrapping my arm around her. If they find out, that child will be on a pedestal, which you know he wouldn't want. Also, I don't think Sasuke will be stable after this, and would see that child as threat. Sasuke was much like the other Uchiha, and this will make it worse. For now this is best. If I have to, I will tell the Hokage, but only under a pact seal. You mean that? She knew how serious a pact seal was, and not something the Hokage could even break, as I had found it in an ancient seal book. Though I couldn't make one yet, she knew I was serious. On my life, I said, and if somehow someone finds out, I will risk it to keep that baby safe. You are going to be an amazing big sister, she said, smiling and giving me a hug. The years passed, and some days it seemed like everything had changed. Ayam had a son that she named Shursui after Itachi's best friend. The little boy was so happy and didn't fear anything. Now 3, he was driving Ayam crazy at times, but I was always there to babysit when needed. He looked a lot like Itachi with his black hair and eyes. Luckily, he didn't get the distinct eye lines that Itachi had, or someone might have connected the dots. Hinata had taken a play from my book and hid her skills. She looked weak and frail to everyone else, but she could kick a lot of the guys' asses. She had even developed a crush on a merchant boy we met one day. Shikamaru, I think, had fully worked it out that I wasn't a boy, but he would tell me when he thought it was right. Other than that, everything seemed the same. Sasuke hated me more for some reason after classes started in the fall. I felt it was because he, though Hinata had real feelings for me. This idea was strengthened when the girls went back to tormenting her. It even got to the point I almost dropped my dope cover. Flashback. Please, Gigi, I said, begging him while eating my ramen. If I show I am stronger, then they will stop. Naru, we started this for a reason, he said as Ayam handed him a bowl. When are you due? He asked. Overdue, she said. I was due the 27th soon. The father must be excited. She then was sad, but I came in for the rescue. Gigi, back to what I am asking, I said, putting Ayam in the clear. I had done this many times when she was asked about the father. Even with the baby to come at any time, none of us had a solid idea what to say when some asked about the father. Oh yes, he said. Well, I know it is getting hard now to hide your strength, but I need you now more than ever. I have a mission for you, and you will be paid for it. Mission? Yes, it will extend until I deem the target no longer needs to be watched, he said, putting on what I called his Hokage face. I also need you from now on to watch not just this target but the instructors as well. So really it is 2 missions. Who is the primary target? Sasuke Uchiha, he said, but I wasn't shocked. Can you tell me what you know so far? Sasuke is strong and smart, but those are his only good qualities. He is overconfident in his abilities to the point he thinks he cannot lose in battle. Before the massacre this wasn't as prevalent, but it has gotten worse. Due to the ever-growing preferential treatment, he believes he is elite. The council is not helping matters when they give him whatever they ask for. That is my current observation. Very good, now you see why you must keep your cover. He won't suspect me, I said, finishing bowl number May 12th. I ask why he is being watched? For now, just watch. Yes, sir. Flashback over. Due to this, the axe stayed as much as I didn't want it. I was able to let it drop at home though, which was great, and eventually the Hokage allowed me to go out without the seal as long as Hinata was close. She was my cover when I was out. To anyone that saw and asked, my name was Yuzu. I was visiting from capital city where my parents were merchants. My brother was a potential suitor, and I was asked to be their go-between. For this I did apply makeup to my whiskers and wear some upper-class clothes. Anyone that saw my purple flacked eyes found them to be exotic, so they didn't land with my sky blues, though rare as well. Even the Hyuga elders didn't know there was no suitor, but with an actor portraying my father they bought it. They just believed my brother was training, and could not make it at this time. It was all Hinata's idea and it worked perfect. Soon though I hoped for the charade to end. The end of the academy was only a week away, and soon after I could plead to drop this mask and maybe my boy form altogether. It was starting just to get awkward and uncomfortable. My hair, eyes, and facial structure were still altered by the masking seal, but the seal had a hard time compensating for my height, and the smell of my period. The smell wouldn't have been a big deal to a normal person, but ninjas tended to have a better sense of smell. To us ninja the smell was distinct, and though the seal covered up my normal smell, it couldn't mask that fully. Due to this, after being cleared of any suspicion, Irika was informed about me. He was very confused at first but accepted it as time went on. With him knowing I could miss the days and he would cover for me, or if I was unlucky enough to start in class I would goof off and be sent out of class. He also was part of the big plan to catch the traitor in our ranks. Though still unknown what was going to happen, we knew Mizuki had something planned. He had a mission gone wrong before the start of the school year. They had been sent to retrieve something and a fellow Chunin was killed. That would have been suspicious, but the body's only damage was a tib-fib fracture. The other team member confirmed Mizuki had been the one to pronounce the member as dead. As such, he told him to go ahead and clear potential enemies from the path. He then stated that an enemy had caught up and shot a fire just as that destroyed the body. When the body was later recovered, it was burned much like a hunterine would a rouge, and an enemy was found close by from death by exsanguination from a wound to the abdomen from a Fuma shuriken that Mizuki had apparently stabbed him with. Due to burning of the body, a cause of death could not be found. This drew suspicion onto him. Add to the strange why he has behaved since, it added to something not right. So we made a plan. I would fail the clone jutsu, though I knew shadow clones, and see if he would take the bait. With his hatred of me, he would want to use me as the unknowing fall guy who would probably die. As today was test day, it was time to carry out the plan. I failed on the written exam. Then when it came to taijutsu, I barely passed. The best score was weapons, but the test would come down to my jutsu, and Irika had made sure that the clone jutsu was the one in my file that I was asked to perform. Alright Naruto, please perform the clone jutsu and make 3 clones, Irika asked. With a nod I complied, and as always I failed. On the floor was a half-dead muted colored copy me. Even with all my training from Snake and Cat, I could not make a normal clone. I had too much chakra and no amount of control was going to help that. Don't get me wrong, I had some of the best control in the village, but the sheer amount I had, I couldn't do that clone, which would never be useful anyway. I'm sorry Naruto, but I can't pass you, Irika said, and for a moment I saw Mizuki smile. He did make one, Irika, Mizuki said, trying to plead my case we could let him pass. Without a clone he doesn't have the grades to pass. With tears in my eyes I left the room knowing Mizuki had taken the bait. I went to the swing first thing and saw the new students meet their parents. I had wanted to come, but knowing I had to fail I didn't want to risk Mizuki skipping his chance. Of course all the adults saw that I failed and couldn't help but talk about it. So that boy is the only one that failed, said one of the mothers. Good that dem, said another. Sure, we can't talk about that, the first said, and at this point Mizuki finally came over. Irika is only doing it to protect you, Mizuki said. I understand, but I really wanted it this time, sensei, I said, still looking at the ground. Well, there is another way, he said. Really? I yelled, jumping off the swing. Please, sensei, I will do anything. Well, we do have another test, a practical if you want to call it that, but it is hard. I can do it, sensei. All right, then listen, he said, patted my back and then lead me away to explain my test. Scene change. After going to the Hokage, he allowed me to take the forbidden scroll to the location of the meet. 10 minutes after I left, he called the ninja in the village to track me. Knowing I had to look like I learned something, I summoned some shadow clones and went a row or two. When I sensed Mizuki approaching, I sat panting like I was tired. Good job, Naruto, he said. Now give me the scroll. But you never said I had to give it to you, sensei, I said, standing. This looked important to Gigi. I should take it back and explain. That wouldn't be a good idea. Why not? Because many ninja are mad at you, Naruto, and some might kill you. Why? Because you took the scroll. Why? Because that is a very powerful scroll. Why? Now I could tell he was ready to blow. Because all the forbidden jutsu that this village makes no use of. Orochimaru-sama will welcome me for all that wealth of information. Now give me the damn scroll, you little demon. That's not nice, sensei, I said, then turned. You hear that, Umbu-san? I did. Then out of the shadow came a silver-haired Umbu I hadn't seen in many years. Inu was one of the Umbu that watched me when I was young and found me living in the shed in the red light district. Just after I moved into the apartment, he had vanished, so I assumed he was Kia. Mizuki, you will be escorted to Tianai, where you will be made to give any information on Orochimaru. You can't do this, he interrupted and lunged at Inu, who quickly smacked him to the ground and continued. You then will be transferred to Konoha Correctional Facility to serve a life sentence for treason. Inu then cuffed the man and handed him to Cat and Snake, who had just arrived. You can't do this to me, he yelled, and no one will believe that little demon. Call Naruto a demon again and I will cut your throat where you stand, Snake said, and he became silent and the sun shined away. Ready to go, Neru. Before I could reply, Inu grabbed me and the scroll and did the same, but for use it was directly to the Hokage and Irika. You called me Neru, I said when we landed. You shouldn't know that name. Since I have known your gender since before you were born, I would say I should, he answered. But I don't know you. Calm down, Neru, and take the seal off, the Hokage ordered, and I did. Inu just stared at me as if shocked. What are you looking at? I asked and laughed. Just surprised how much you look like your mother, he said. Your boy form looks so much like your father that I was expecting the same. Kakashi! The Hokage yelled. What, she already knows that, he said, looking down at me. Don't you? Neru explained. I have known them by name only the last few years, I said, finally admitting it. I don't know much other than what my father looked like. All info on Mom has been erased or hidden. Oh, you should look into why the all info about the Uzumaki clan I'm missing, by the way. I am very confused, Irika said, butting in. Sorry about this, Irika, but at this point I will have to ask you to leave, he said. Though you know much about her, this is classified stronger than either of the other secrets. He left, taking the scroll with him to place back in the vault. The Hokage then motioned for me and the now named Umbu to sit. He even had him take the mask, revealing another mask. He quickly put the forehead protector over his left eye. Are you mad I kept this from you? He asked. Why should I? You were doing what you thought was right, and I agree. You agree? Yes, you didn't know how I would grow up to be when you made that choice. Plus, Dad being Hokage and all kinda puts a big target on my head. Your mother gave you a pretty big target also, Kakashi said, which made me raise an eyebrow, but I went on. What I am mad about is why the hell this guy knows. The Hokage stayed quiet, but Kakashi spoke. I was your father's student, he said. I was meant to be your big brother, but due to people drawing conclusions and my age at the time, I could not fill the role. Your state of mind was also a factor, Kakashi, the Hokage said. After the attack, you distraught from the deaths of the last people you considered family. I sent you away to recover. And didn't tell me she survived until she was already in the orphanage. I could see the anger growing in him as he stood. Then you forbade me from contact, which caused her to be kicked out of said orphanage. What does he mean? I would check on you often when you were first placed, but I grew too close and was sent on long assignment. Which was why I didn't see you again until I was moved. Yes, and then I was sent off again. I came back just after the fire, but he would not give me your location and forbade me from looking, or else I would lose any chance I had at being your genin sensei. And I am sorry for it all, but at the time it was called for. He said, but now that she knows, you can have that relationship. Though I am curious how you know Naru? Records and rumors, I said, shrugging. You left the marriage license behind when you redacted the files. Tucci made the comment that I looked like the first time you took me to ramen, and as I wasn't wearing the seal, it was easy there. Even more so when my male form was like a mini Minato. What about your mother? Asked Kakashi. The rumor mill in this town is a wealth of knowledge. It was easy to hear from some pink-haired women that she was jealous of a redhead that he was with. She said that? No, just said that if he had picked her over that foreign tramp, he would still be alive. Her words. Councilwoman Haruno did obese over Minato, the Hokage said, shaking his head. After that I looked up records of any redheads. It was hard to find, but I eventually tracked down a photo of his graduating class. It had all the students listed, and since he was looking at her in the photo, it wasn't hard. Well, then I think Minato and Kushina would be proud you figured that much out. The Hokage then stood and walked to the portrait of my father. After a few hand seals, you heard a release of a lock. Opening the painting, he pulled out 2 scrolls. Then he walked back over and handed them to me. These are the things I can give you at this time. You will find a lot, and Kakashi can help you sort through everything. Does this mean I don't have to hide anymore? I asked, hopeful. You still need to hide your gender, Naru, but you can show how smart you are now. He said you still have a mission, and that threat has not ended. Are you going to tell me why now? The real reason Kakashi is being assigned him as well, he said, then picking up his pipe. He is at high risk of abandoning the village. I need you two to make sure that doesn't happen. So we become his watchers, Kakashi said. And if he does leave on his own free will? Priority to capture for imprisonment. Telling you no, he hurts any of my comrades it over, and he is as good as dead. I answered. With this I could see Kakashi have a smile. I expect nothing less, but there must be proof that he left on his own will. If there isn't, the council will say you jumped, and you will be on the line. He is the only heir to the Sharingan in the village, he said, and I almost laughed, but was good. Now Kakashi, and you should head to your cabin, and he can help you go through what I have given you. Yes, sir, we both said, and we were off. Scene change. Back at the cabin, I set the scrolls on the table. I looked for some time before Kakashi put his head on my shoulder. I took the red scroll first and opened the blood seal. The scroll had a multitude of seals in the scroll. I knew that each could hold maybe 200 items by the design. I released a few items from the first seal to have some books appear. The books were on clan laws, seals, and photos albums. All the books ranged in size but had a very similar swirl on the top of the binding that was either red or white. It was the swirl all those above Chunin had on their vests. I also had it on the back of my jacket in red and on my sleeve as white with a bead hanging below. I didn't realize she recovered so much, Kakashi said. What do you mean? Her goal was to recover everything she could from her nation when it was destroyed, he said with genuine sadness. With as much this scroll can hold, I bet she did? What's with the swirls? They are your clan symbol, he said. We wear them to honor Yuzu, which was controlled by the Uzumaki clan. The red was the general symbol, while the white was that of the royal family. You are not just a clan heir but an heir to a nation. This home is on the edge of your land, given to the Uzumaki clan from the first Hokage. This is clan land? The whole forest, which is about 000 square acres, was all charted to be the home on the Uzumakis if they ever decided to build here. It was in thanks for them helping start the village. So I have more land than the Uchiha? Yes, you do, and you are a real princess. What? Your mother was the daughter of the Queen of Yuzu. She was the rightful heir when the land fell, he said, laughing. Another reason for the larger target on you. Damn, I then touched another seal to see 5 red-clothed forehead protectors pop out. They had the same swirl on them, and one seemed to be damaged. I then picked up the damaged one. You think Gigi will let me wear this along with my Konoha one? Your mother did for a time, he said with a smile. I do believe that one is hers. How do you know that? She left the used ones with those she found, he said. Ninja are buried with the ones they wear at the time of their death. I remember her saying she found the storeroom with them. Logically, that dinged one would be hers. Cool, I left my mother's headband out and sealed the scroll back up, moving to the other. This one was golden color, and was a bit smaller. This one seemed to be filled with personal effects. A Konoha headband, tri-pronged kunai, a scroll with taijutsu written on it, and a katana popped out first. Holding the kunai, I was so excited to be able to use them, but I knew that would draw too much attention. I then picked up the headband and knew whose it was. That's the one he wore during the war, Kakashi said. He got a nice one when he became Hokage, but would wear that a lot in battle. Well, since Gigi didn't give me one, I'm gonna wear this one, I said with a big goofy grin. Was hoping you would say that. He then pulled out a scroll of his own and gave it to me. Think of it as a graduation present. I smiled and opened the scroll. A few things popped out when I did. 3 new identical outfits. They included a mesh shirt, a cropped burnt orange and black jacket, and a black pair of shorts with the same burnt orange trim. The next item was a burnt orange belt that I could place one of the plates on. On the back was a pouch and scroll attachments. Above those was a sheath with a weapon I didn't recognize. On the sheath was another attachment for a plate. I drew the weapon to see a Tonto-sized tri-pronged kunai. Wow. Had it made for you after I saw that you looked like you preferred close combat. He said the jackets also have a seal on the back swirl that will attach the katana your mother left you. Thank you, Kakashi, I said as I grabbed the headbands and started attaching them. You're welcome, he said with a nice smile. I'm gonna have to ask Kat to build onto the house at this rate, I said with a laugh. Scene change. I walked into the classroom tired as I hadn't gotten any sleep. The rest of the night I talked with Kakashi about everything. It was great to finally hear the stories of my parents, and I was determined to make them proud. So the mission went well? Hinata asked as I sat next to her. Yep, and now I don't have to hide, I said. She knew what I meant, my intelligence only, as I was still dressed like a boy. So want a game of shogi sometime then? I turned to see Shikamaru and Choji standing behind me. Yeah, love to kick your ass, I said with a fox-like grin. Then we heard the stamp of Ino and Sakura. I win! They both yelled, then started bickering with each other. Can you two stop? I yelled, causing them to look at me. You are now both legal adults, stop it. This is only for Jen and Naruto, Ino said. Yeah, and you failed, so get out, Sakura yelled and in her fashion took a swing at me, but I was no longer dope Naruto. I now had skills that even her damn Uchiha didn't have. I dogged her uncoordinated punch then, while jumping on the desk to get a leverage, twisted her arm behind her back. I will not stand for any more of that, Sakura. I said I am not the Naruto you have come to know. I will not be your punching bag, so get used to it. As for failing, it was a ruse, a long mission that led to the capture of a traitor. So I earned my rank, can you say the same? I released her just as Iriko walked in and everyone took their seat. He started with a long speech of how we were adults and all the fun stuff. When he asked if anyone had questioned before assignments, Sakura raised his hand. Where's Mizuki-sensei? She asked. Mizuki is in the TNI department currently, he said honestly. After a long sting operation, he was found to be a traitor of the village, and that is not taken lightly here. All students looked to me. They had heard me talking to Sakura, and even the dumbest ones could conclude that I was the mission I had been talking about. They all went back to Irika when he started announcing the teams. The only one that didn't was Sasuke, who gave me a death glare. Team 7 will be Sakura Haruno, Naruto Uzumaki, and Sasuke Uchiha. Either I nor Sasuke reacted, but Sakura screeched in joy that she was with Sasuke. Your sensei will be Kakashi Hatake. Team 8 is Hinata Hyuga, Shino Abirame, and Kiba Inuzuka. Your sensei is Kurina Yuri. Team 9 is still in rotation, so Team 10 will be Shikamaru Nara, Choji Akimichi, and Ino Yamanaka. Your sensei will be Asuma Saratobi. I wish you all luck, and your new senseis will arrive at 1 to pick you up. Every team joined up and left for lunch. I didn't bother though. I knew I wasn't wanted. I started to walk out alone when I was stopped outside by Shikamaru. How about we go play that game of shogi, he said. Alright, then I followed. The walk to Nara clan compound was quiet. We entered the main home and went to a room with the board all ready to play. Still quiet, we sat and started the game. 10 minutes into the game, he finally spoke. So no more hiding, he said, moving his piece. For the most part, I replied. Yes, for the most part. Are you implying something? I asked with fox-like grin. That I am, he said, leaning back. You're still hiding something more important. Just say it's Shikamaru, and I promise if you get it I will tell you. Simply put, you're a girl, he said. And how long have you known? The first day I had an idea, but last year you started to develop before you fixed whatever makes you look like a boy. A seal, I said. It covers me without setting off any sensors or just users. Can you show me the real you? With a nod I undid the seal. I was now only about an inch shorter than him. He walked over to look me over. He seemed speechless as he circled me, studying me. Like what you see, I said, and he got red-faced and I laughed. It's fine, Shikamaru. I know I don't look anything like what I normally do. It's not that. I swear I have seen you like this before with Hinata. You have, I answered. I went into Ino's shop in this form. I go by Yuzu for now. Then what's your real name? Naru. Well then, Naru, we should get back to class. We can talk more later, he said. Resealing my form, I followed behind. Scene change. Back in the glass room, we all waited for our senseis. Soon all that was left was my Team 7. I knew it was going to be a while, so luckily I brought a book from the scroll on Yuzu. Of course the old Naruto didn't read, so this confused Sakura, who came over. What the hell are you reading? She asked. A book. You don't read dope, Sasuke said. I read plenty, just not at the academy. What is it about? Sakura asked again. Sakura was a pain, but she wasn't all bad. She is curious but so wrapped up with Sasuke that she can't think for her own and likely never would. The Whirlpool Nation. Never heard of it, she said. You wouldn't, it no longer exists, I said while closing the book. It was destroyed just before the Third Ninja War. It was a prime catalyst for the war. We didn't learn this in class. Because the Civilian Council now controls to the academy, and deemed it wasn't important, and didn't want me to feel that I had family. But where did you get the book? Sasuke asked, trying to take it, but I moved it closer. I haven't seen anything like it in library or the Uchiha Achieves. My mother left me it. You don't have parents, Sakura screeched. Everyone had parents, Sakura, some just die. Why would your mother have such a thing? She was from the Whirlpool Nation, I said, looking down to the book. She was the daughter of a merchant, and was away when the nation was attacked. She later went back and collected whatever she could find. I could tell more questions would soon follow, but with great timing Kakashi entered. With a wave we followed him to the roof. Of course all the way there Sakura was ranting on how late he was. Alright, tell me about yourselves, he said, which prompted Sakura to raise her hand and Kakashi to rub his brow area. You're not in class anymore, you don't need to raise your hand. Sorry, sensei, she said, but as I was gonna ask if you could show use. Well, my name is Kakashi Hataki. I like many things, dislike a few as well. I have hobbies but rather not name them. As for dreams, never quite thought about it, he said, looking to the sky. Now your turn, Pinky. My name is Sakura Haruno. I like well looks at Sasuke. My hobbies are giggles. My dream giggles / squeal / fawning motion. Dislikes? Inopig and Naruto Baka. Naruto, your turn. My name is Naruto Uzumaki. I like Gigi, studying seals, and gardening. I dislike people that can't tell the difference between a scroll and what it holds. My hobbies are Fuinjustu, gardening, and reading. My dream is to be Hokage. Isn't Fuinjustu a bit complicated for a dope like you? Sasuke said, and Sakura laughed. No, they aren't, and if you both would have been paying attention you would know that I am not the dope you think I am, I said. Once a dope, always a dope. It was called a cover team, I said, rolling my eyes. If you didn't put 2 and 2 together, I was the one that took Mizuki down. Why would you be picked instead of Sasuke-kun? Sakura screeched. Because I started acting the part long before it was needed. Yeah right, dope, Sasuke said. You couldn't pull something off like that if your life depend on it. Oh, I wanted to hit him but I restrained. Taking a deep breath, and I relaxed and walked to the edge where Kakashi sat. He looked to me knowing I would rather not be here. Meet you tomorrow, training ground 7 at about 10, he said, then I leapt away. Later that night. After leaving my teammates I went home. I decided to meet up with Shikamaru as Naru instead of Naruto. I found him with Ino and Choji at barbecue. Yuzu, he said, a bit shocked to see me. Ino and Choji then turned and saw me. Come join us, Ino said, and with a nod I took the empty seat next to Shikamaru. So no Hinata with you today? I figured she would want to get acquainted with her team, I said. She said today was placement day. It was, Choji said between bites. Are you a ninja, Yuzu? Choji, finish eating before you talk, Ino said. It is alright, Ino, I said with a laugh, and no, Choji, I am not a ninja per se. I am trained like one, but my family are merchants in capital city. I am trained so that I can protect myself. Being in a high-class merchant family isn't always easy. Then why are you here? My brother is looking to court Hinata, and I was asked to be the go-between. Why, may I ask, are you here? Ino said. To find Shikamaru. This shocked all of them. Shikamaru turned red as not to know what to say in this situation. Oh, and why would you want to find a lazy guy like him? He never told you, I said, laying on the shock tone that would draw in the gossip-loving Ino. After I saw him in your shop, I later found him playing shogi in the park. I joined his game, and now when he has a chance and I am in town, we play. This reason didn't satisfy her, so she slumped back into her seat. With a laugh, I grabbed Shikamaru and stood up. How about we go for a game at my place, Shikakun? I asked, giving Ino's rumor mill a new spark. All Shikamaru could do was nod, and then we said bye. After walking a few minutes, he finally gained enough mental strength to speak again. You really had to do that? He asked. Ino will spread rumors like crazy now. It will allow me to come out more like this, though, I said as we entered the market. What are we doing here? I need some stuff for my place, obviously, I said, moving to a cart. I don't have any fruit at home and need some basics I can't get at home. I then dragged him cart to cart. To me it was great, since I wasn't allowed out often like this. I explained that I was only able to come out with an umbu, Hinata, or a mei. So you never get to be normal, he said as we moved to the last produce stall. Only when with someone I trust in home, I said, grabbing some tomatoes. I will probably get an earful when the Hokage hears of this. Being out with me? Yes and no, I said, handing the money to the stall owner. The plus of shopping in this form was not being overcharged. I changed at home but left without calling an escort. Snake can cover me if needed. I passed Cat just before entering barbecue. Cat has most likely already go to the Hokage. And he will be mad that I know. He stopped in the street and I looked at him. I only just noticed that he had taken all my bags, so I grabbed some. Possibly, but I said, starting to move, ran into Sasuke and froze. I had never run into anyone I didn't plan on from class. He just stared at me, analyzing me. I am sorry, Sasuke-sama. It's alright, he said in a tone I had never heard, soft. It seems I am at a disadvantage, milady. You know my name, but I don't know yours. Yuzu. I was confused at why tone, but then I realized what I wore. Currently the only clothes I had Yuzu was noble clothes that I had to wear for my cover as her. Well, Yuzu, seems the Nara was too lazy to carry all your things, he said, glaring at Shikamaru. Why don't I take them and I can bring them where you need? I don't need your assistance, I said, stepping in front of Shikamaru as he went to grab my things. Shikamaru was carrying everything, but that is not his job. He is a friend, not a servant, so I grabbed some of my things. Still, I can help you home. I don't think she wants you to, Sasuke, Shikamaru said. With that said, Sasuke grew angry. As troublesome as it is, we also have a shogi game to finish. Well, Yuzu, you would like to be around someone of your own class, he said, continuing his glare at Shikamaru. Come to the Uchiha district. Don't stay up waiting, I said, and then we walked away. After a bit I relaxed, and when I knew we weren't being followed, I led Shikamaru to my place. So I see you still dislike Sasuke, he said as I went to the bathroom to get dressed in more normal clothes. Even a gender change won't change that, I said, opening the door. What worries me is it didn't seem like he ran into me by accident. You think he knows? No, I said, laughing as I set up the board. He wouldn't be able to hide it in my male form. But it seems like he knows of Yuzu, her story. And that is bad because he will see you as something to win. Yes, he will, and now he knows I don't feel the way he wants. He will hunt, I said, looking at the board, but enough of that, it's time for shogi. Scene change. The next day I arrived at training ground 7 at 10 to find 2 very pissed off teammates. Kakashi must have told them an earlier time than he had me. I had to laugh, but I sat and ignored them until the silent emo spoke. Hey dope, what's with the second village mark? he asked. It's the mark of the whirlpool. You can't wear two village makes baka, Sakura screeched. You can with permission, and as this was one my mother found and wore when she was a ninja here I'm good. I could tell they were gonna ask more but Kakashi popped in and saved the day. You're late, yelled Sakura. Sorry, a black cat crossed my path and then I had to take the long way where I had to help a herd of old women across the street, he said. I held back my laugh but you could tell the others weren't thinking it was funny. Anyway, you have until noon to get these bells. But sensei, there's only two, Sakura said. You're right, I never said this test would let you all pass, did I? There is one rule, he said with an unseen smirk, come at me with the intent to kill. With that his hand shot up indicating that the test started. We all hid in the surrounding areas. It was easy for me to track everyone with my sensor ability. Sakura was hiding in the bushes. Wasn't a bad spot but hard to leave or defend when she would be spotted. Sasuke took to high ground. In a tree overlooking Kakashi, not a bad spot as you would be able to see most attackers coming, but his back was exposed and if someone with stealth skills found him he would be gone. Both of these issues could be solved with having a teammate, which I knew was the test. After Shikamaru left I found notes and journals in both scrolls. The red one was all stuff from Yuzu but the gold one was more personally. In it I found my father's journals that his sensei had made him keep. I also saw this exact test in it, and knew teamwork was the answer. I decided to see if they would come with me willingly. First was Sasuke, but only because he was closer. I made it to him just before he was going to enter the clearing. Sasuke, work with me, I said. We get Sakura, we have a much better chance at the bells. I don't need help, dope. Then he pushed me to the side and I went to Sakura. I found her passed out, and from the flux and chakra was in a genjutsu. I put my hand on her shoulder and disrupted the jutsu. She shot right up and started looking around. Sasuke! She yelled. He is fine, you were in a genjutsu, I said. Thank Kami, she said. What are you doing here, Baka? I came to find you so we can work together. Sorry, but I don't want you on my team, Baka, she said, crossing her arms. I team with you and then Sasuke fails. He is gonna fail anyway if he is alone and already said he won't work with us and went to fight Sensei. She seemed to skip to the last part and ran towards the field without any concern. I chased as I could sense the fight getting heated in more ways than one. Without looking, she ran into the field. I looked in horror as everything seemed to slow down. First was I saw Sensei putting up an earth wall to hide the face. He was going underground. The wall also blocked the second thing I saw, which was a giant fireball that the Uchiha were known for. The last thing was Sakura running straight into the ball of flame, not know it was there, and it was far too late to call back the jutsu or change its course, and Sasuke clearly saw her now that it was released. What I did next just felt weird though. Without thought I began to run, but everything was still in slow-mo. I could see Kakashi's slow rotation as he went down unaware on what was about to happen in front of him. I saw Sasuke mind going from I am amazing to shit what have I done, and I saw Sakura freeze between the wall and the fireball as she realized it was going to hit her, but I didn't let it. I still seemed to be moving at a normal pace and pushed Sakura out of the way. That didn't last long as I guess I hadn't moved fully out of the way. I got hit, luckily, below my short line to my boot. Hitting the ground I couldn't help but try and hold back a scream. Fuck, I yelled as the pain of the burn fully hit me. Naruto! Kakashi popped out of the ground and ran to me. Sasuke as well ran over, but Sakura stayed where she was, still in shock. What the hell happened? Sakura was running to the field. I said she was still a bit dazed from the genjutsu and ran in without looking. Can you get the damn boot off, please? It still hasn't fused to my skin. How did you get to her so fast? Asked Sasuke as Kakashi took the boot off. I didn't see you at all until you yelled as you hit the ground. I honestly have no clue, I said, wincing as Kakashi lightly touched the burn. This could be a second degree. We need to get you to the hospital. But the test, Sasuke said. Can wait, Kakashi snapped back. We over the leaf don't leave our comrades like this. Those that break the rules are scum, and by rules he would be a liability on a mission, but those who abandon their friends and comrades are worse than scum. The test is on. No it isn't, I said. Naruto, you can't walk let alone fight like this, Sakura finally said. I know, but Sensei never said the test was on hold until after I got these. I then raised the two bells. Kakashi looked down and chuckled lightly. Even injured you do your mission, but who gets the other bell? And without another thought I threw one at each member. We pass right, I said as another wave of pain surged through the burn. You do, he said to me, then turned to the team. Meet here at 7 a.m. here. He then picked me and we began to leave, but Sakura stopped us. "Thank you," she said. "You're a comrade, Sakura. I wasn't gonna let something like that get you," I said, and then with a shunshin we were gone. Scene change. A night in the hospital was nothing new. What was new was the visitors I had. Normally it would be just the Hokage and Kiko, since she had retired fully and Nori had taken over. No, today Hinata came with the rest of Team 8 when she heard. Kakashi stayed for a while before he reported his results to the Hokage. Then Team 10 came, rather loudly as well. "Shikamaru, I thought you said Sasuke was gonna be here," Ino said as she looked around the room. "I said he might, and I wanted to come see Naruto before hours closed, so that means before dinner," he said. "So what happened?" "Training accident, that's it," I said, sitting up. "Will be out tomorrow morning and fine in a few days." "I overheard Munch that it was Munch second-degree burns," Choji said. "Oh Kami, what happened?" Ino said, horrified. I pushed Sakura out of the way of Sasuke's fireball Justu. They all looked shocked. Wasn't either of their faults. Sasuke had shot it out before he saw here, and she was still recovering from a Genjutsu. "We passed the test though, so how about you guys?" "Bet your ass we did," Ino said. "Now I am going to yell at Sakura before I go eat, so I will see you later." "Ino," I said, trying to stop her, but she was gone. "Don't bother," Shikamaru said. "She would do it anyway, troublesome women." I gave him a look and he stiffened slightly at the realization of what he said. "I am going to," said Chojima, "is making my favorites since we passed." "Coming, Shika?" "No, I will stay a bit longer." Choji nodded and left. "Won't your mother worry?" "Nope, she left this morning for Kakariko and my father is on a mission, so home alone tonight." He then pulled out a shogi board. "Already asked if I could stay longer from that more women? Got nothing better to do," and with a smile we began our games that would last well into the night. The next month went by and things happened. First was, if I wasn't with my team, I was with Shikamaru, Hinata, or even Kakashi. Kakashi had become like a brother, probably what he was supposed to be before the attack. He trained me in things that my father had taught him or left for me. With his help I combined the flash style of my father and the Yuzu style of my mother's. My style used the natural speed I had from my father and the flexibility of my mother. We named it the flashing whirlpool style. When we could, Hinata and I still hung out. It was much harder as her team was around a good portion of the time. It really wasn't that bad with them around, but Kiba could be a damn handful. As Yuzu, I was always polite with anyone due to being seen as higher class. I also learned from Kiba that I was smoking hot. Kiba could be a perv at times, so it was easier just to ignore him. Though I think Okamura had figured out who I was. Shikamaru, though, I spent the most time with. It wasn't that we really went out in public like I did with Hinata. No, with him we stayed at my home and sometime we would go to his. We found it easy as the forest connected with his land and we could easily avoid the village altogether. The deer even learned to let me pass and even escort me to and from the compound. The one time I was almost caught by a clan member, they guarded me. Shikamaru said that meant they really liked me. It was great with Shikamaru since I could be myself. I didn't have to dress as Yuzu did unless we went into the village. He would help with my garden or help me with hunting. The times we did go in the village was mostly to see Ino. At least once a week I would go with him to a team meal. Of course, Asuma got curious after the second time and went to his father, so I had to tell him who I was, but I could trust him. I thought he would have figured it out sooner since I did live with him for a very short time as a child. Ino, though, made the whole Sasuke thing worse. Sasuke seemed to know when I would be in the village and would run into me when I was with Hinata or Shikamaru. Of course, this didn't help team dynamics either. The day after I was released from the hospital, it turned out Sasuke had went to Ino to find out more about me. Ino took this to figure he was interested in me, but she told him Shikamaru had seemed to call dibs on me. He then came fuming about it to meeting the next day. Sakura overheard, and without even meeting Yuzu, she hated her. We meet, but that wasn't news. For a while I was puzzled on how he found out about me in the first place, then Hinata figured it out. Flashback. "I am so sorry, Naru," she said as she ran to the cabin. "About what?" I asked, confused. There was no way she would tell someone about me. No one other than Hyugas knew I existed. "Sasuke," at this I raised an eyebrow. "My father said something in the council meeting about your brother courting me. He mentioned you by Yuzu. And one of them went to Sasuke?" "Yes," she started to cry, but I picked her chin up. "It's not your fault. I am surprised it didn't happen sooner," I said with a smile. "Your father has a noble family looking to marry you. He has a right to brag," mentioning that the go-between the noble's sister probably drew their attention. "Still, it was my plan to get you out. It is fine, I just can't go out alone. But Sasuke can try all he wants to. He may think we are the same class, but I am much higher. We laughed because it was true. He may be called the Prince of Konoha, but I was tied to a real throne. Flashback Kai. Now, though, it was time to return the real demon in this village, Tora the cat. The bane of all genin was this cat. It belonged to the wife of the fire daimyo, and for the most part one understood why it ran, that women tortured the beast. The worst bit was most animals hated me because they could sense what I held, and it tended to attack me more than the others. Team 7 reporting, sir, Kakashi said. Good job, now I have a few D-rank missions. No, we all turned to see it was Sasuke that spoke. All due respect, sir, these missions are below me. I request something more my skill level. You are not the one that makes requests, genin, Kakashi said. He was trying to show order to Sasuke, but so far this hadn't worked. It was one thing in training, but now in front of the Hokage. Sasuke still showed no care as he crossed his arms. Do you believe you are ready for AC rank? The old man asked. Kakashi looked at us, and then back. A simple C would be for the best, or maybe a dual-teamed mission, he said. Well, I have one that is a little more than simple, but the second team would make it a lot easier, he said, pulling out a scroll. Team 7 go back and report back in an hour. By then the client and the second team will be waiting. Kakashi, please stay. 1 hour later. I walked back into the assignment office to find Team 10 waiting for us, and I figured out why pretty quick. He wanted me guarded by those who knew. These were the only senseis that knew my secret, and he knew Shikamaru had grown close, giving me someone my age if need. Giving the evil eye to the Hokage confirmed it when the man laughed. Yippee, I get to go on my first out-of-village mission with my Sasuke-kun, Ino squealed. This caused a fight between the two girls. Stop unless you want to get sealed, I yelled, which shut them both up. This same thing happened anytime the two teams met, and after almost losing my hearing I came up with a seal that acted much like Shikamaru's shadow possession, just to accept they couldn't talk either. Of course this caused the Hokage to laugh. Well then, on with the mission, he said. Your mission will be the escort and guard a bridge builder until the bridge is ready. Sir, I said, and he nodded. Why is 2 teams needed? That will be discussed in a moment with the team leaders, yourself, and Shikamaru. Wait, why are the losers getting a special mission? Asked Sasuke. First off, Sasuke, respect his need in this room, not just for me but your comrades, he said. Second, you don't need to know. Anyway, bring in the Tazuna. The door opened and the client walked in. He was a large man wearing a straw fisherman's hat. He also smelled like he bathed in sake. What's with all the brats? He asked. I only need a team. Since I only have rookies available, we are sending 2 teams. Don't worry, it won't cost you any more, the Hokage said. And no need to worry, Asuma and I are jonin and can guard you very well, Kakashi said. Now Sasuke, Sakura, Ino, and Choji take Tazuna to the main gate and we will meet you there. The 5 then left, though some reluctantly. The Hokage then ushered the rest of us into his office. There he sat and lit his pipe, still yet to explain why we were here. Now for your mission, he said. We have gotten word that Tazuna may not have told you the whole truth. Then why accept the mission if he is lying about it? I asked. Because I understand why he is lying, he answered. The Wave Country has been under harsh time as of late. Gato Corp has taken control of the nation. Even their daimyo doesn't have much money now. He is using it to help the nation where he can, but Gato is holding trade hostage at this point. I also fear he is doing trading with some unsavory people. There is rumors of drug and human trafficking. It is out of control, and I, along with the daimyo, want it stopped before it can stretch into the land of fire. Why not Senambu? Shikamaru asked. Because Gato is not named in the official request, I can't misuse them. But since Team 7 has an Exambu and a Steel/Seal specialist, they work great. And us? Asuma asked, pointing at himself and Shikamaru. You will be staying with the client team, but you need to be informed, he said. As for Shikamaru, he will be the stagist for this. I may need them to work as a team in the future, and if this goes well they could end up my prime stealth team in the regular forces. It also helps that everyone standing here knows, doesn't it? I said. That's why Team 8 didn't work, right? Kurenai-sensei doesn't know. You would be correct. This will allow you to travel more comfortable and allow for a cover. Which is? Kakashi asked. Father and his 2 children vacationing in Wave, he said. Simple. But neither one of us look like him. Well then, what should it be? Mind you, a place to stay has already been set up. Me and Shikamaru just looked at each other. I had done undercover but not with anyone. That is when Kakashi spoke. What if Neru uses her user-like personality and Shikamaru is her betrothed and I am their personal guard? What? We both yelled. That works perfect, he said with a laugh. I can have the hotel have that style set up ready for you. It will put you close to Gato as well. Do I have to dress like Yuzu? I asked. I hated the dresses with a passion. No, I have something perfect for this, he said, standing and walking to his portrait for a woman of higher class to travel in. I had it designed of spec your mother had drawn up. She said it was something she wore in training as a child. He pulled out a black pair of pants that cuffed up at my knees. He then pulled a pair of flat shoes that looked thin but would allow me the speed I needed. The shirt was long-sleeved with the ends of the sleeves being white. From underneath my chest to my hips and my collarbone to my jugular was also white but looked like it was padded along with. Below the white and from the chest to the upper sleeve was red and all of it was gold trim. The last item was a large black leather belt that could hold a katana or my tanto on my left, and a kunai and shuriken pouch on my right. On closer look I also found storage seals for scrolls that would hold equipment, or to secure another pouch to the belt. Think outfit Zelda wears in Breath of the Wild but red. This is amazing, GG, but you do have more, right? I said, picking up the clothes. Yes, no change while I transfer your things to the belt, he said with a smile. Scene change. Half an hour later we met the team at the gates. I was in a normal henge since I had changed into the Yuzu outfit. After relaying to the rest of the team members that Kakashi, Shikamaru, and I were going ahead to clear the path if needed, we started to head. Nero! I turned to see little Shursui running up with Ayam right behind. Picking him up I twirled him and he laughed. Sorry Naruto, Ayam said Shursui wanted to see you before you left. That's fine Ayam. I then looked back at the black-haired boy. So are you worried about me? No, cause I know you're strong, he said. You'll beat up all the bad guys. Well, if I can, how about I bring you something from Wave, huh? Really? Well, of course, from my favorite godson. I am your only godson. This caused some of us to laugh at the little guy. I then handed him back to Ayam. I am sorry Naruto, she said quietly. He still doesn't realize he can't call you Neru. It's fine, I said back. It's not like he yelled obeison. We then started to head out and I heard her yell be careful, but since I started at ninja speed I didn't get to yell back. We traveled hard and fast until we came to a point that would be about a mile from the port town. I stopped, causing both Kakashi and Shikamaru to stop. What's up? Kakashi said, but I didn't answer and sat channeling chakra to my ears. When do you think that old man will get here? Said a raspy male voice. Better be soon, I want to get back and get the money. Said another male voice. I want to get out of the wave soon. That place is a hellhole. Gato is almost as bad as the third Mizukage. At that I snapped back. 50 meters ahead, I said. They are covering their chakra very well but don't believe they are about Chunin. Seems Gato has hired missing neens from the hidden mist. There are plenty right now with the civil war still going on, Kakashi said. How do you guys feel about your first kills? After plan was developed, Kakashi confirmed them as the demon brother Gozu and Meizu. We knew we had to either keep them separate, or make the kill before they knew we were there. They seemed unaware of what was going on until our sabers were at their throats. How? Asked Gozu. You don't need to know, Shikamaru said as he slid the blade across his throat. Meizu tried to call for his brother but I did the same. After I had a feeling of dread but shook it away for now. Okay, then let's head to the village. We want to get to the island and meet up with the team later, Kakashi said as he sealed the bodies and sent them with his Ninhound back to the village. Tazuna team. Hold, said Asuma, and all held in place. He walked into the woods to find the remains of a campfire and lots of blood. He looked for the scrolls that contained the bodies but only found one simple scroll. Shikamaru makes some great plans. May have to steal him more often. Bodies already back to the village with Pakken. The Hokage was right. These were only Chunin but they are known to work with a Jonin. Will signal if need. Well, they had first kill by the way, so you know. Jane. Great, he said as he pulled out a cigarette and walked back to the group. Well, Tazuna, it is confirmed you lied to us. What do you mean? He said nervously. What I just found was the sight of an end to two Chunin that wish you dead, he said, taking a long draw that makes this be rank. While Kakashi-sensei found them that deep in the woods, Sakura said, noting that Asuma had been gone for almost 10 minutes. Nope, he said. What do you mean, sensei? Asked Ino. Kakashi would have killed them if he discovered and planed it. You mean, Choji said but didn't finish. Yes, Kakashi let Naruto and Shikamaru take the kills, so they must have noticed before him. That shrimp? Tazuna asked, finally speaking. No way, the losers realized. Naruto is a censor actually, Choji said, and everyone looked at him. How else did you think we avoided ninja when we skipped class? He has a better range than even Shikamaru's mom, who is also a born censor. Damn, said Ino, knowing that as kids they could not hit anywhere and go 2,000 feet away from her. Well then, Tazuna, Asuma said. Tazuna was about to speak but was interrupted. Don't worry, the Hokage foresaw it. He had an idea of what was going on. So then why give us green gen in this? Asked Sakura. As he said, it was all he had, but he also needed Kakashi for this mission. Now let's hurry up, I would like to get to the port before dark so we can head out. We are meeting up with them just before the client's home, and then they left. What they didn't see was an NDS Uchiha. Naru. We made it to the lake not far from the home, and it was only a little farther until the meeting point. But I felt like I was being watched, so I stopped. I sent out a wave, but there was only a signature of a rabbit from where I felt the look. I started to move again, and the same feeling came over me. This time I didn't stop, only slowed, and threw a kunai. Troublesome, said Shikamaru, walking over to the tree the kunai hit. But was only another rabbit. Why did you throw a kunai? It's just a rabbit. No, we are being watched, I said, sending another wave just in time to see a blade hit the deck. When I looked up, I saw the same blade stuck in the tree. On the hilt was a shirtless man. His face was covered in cloth, but it was the sit in his eyes that got me. They looked like death, far more death than any war veteran I had ever seen. Well, Kakashi Hatake, he said in a deep, soulless voice. No wonder I haven't heard from the demon brothers. Zabuza Momochi, the demon of the mist, he said, lifting his headband showing his Sharingan. Fancy meeting you here. Well, I didn't plan to come out until I saw Tazuna, but it seems the Leaf sent an advance team, he said with a chuckle. If it wasn't for the girl, I could have stayed hidden. Censors tend to be a pain like that. Before any one of yous could make a move, Zabuza flew through seals and an unnatural mist covered us. If you would narrow. With a nod, I got to work. Throwing up my sleeves, I sat down and closed my eyes. It seemed counterproductive at first, but Kakashi had trained me to use my ears. We had learned that due to the Nine Tails my ears were pretty damn sensitive, and with training it would be even better. For now, though, I need to really concentrate, but that didn't leave me weak as one would think. The man began to talk, but I could tell it wasn't him. It sounded as if he had water in his mouth, meaning who was speaking was a water clone. But I hear the real sword coming right for Shikamaru. So I did the logical thing, I pushed in front of him and blocked. Barrier shielding. I yelled as the blade came down, but it never hit. Instead, it hit the seal barrier that I had reached out with. Well, a budding seal master, he said. Haven't seen one since the Uzuma. Then it dawned on him. Yeah, buddy, I'm the real deal, I said. At this, he tried to jump back, but he couldn't as Shikamaru had already gotten him. Shadow possession success, your turn, Kakashi, Shikamaru said. Kakashi took the chance hand, went at the man for a kill shoot. Everything else seemed to happen quickly. First, I saw the shadow retract. Second, I heard a scream from behind me that belonged to Shikamaru. Lastly, I saw Kakashi go flying into the lake from a back hit from the sword. Zabuza followed Kakashi, leaving me to turn to find another masked Nin coming at Shikamaru, who lay on the ground holding his abdomen. I went to block the upcoming Nin, but the seal I had was only one use, so I drew my saber. Making it just in time, I blocked with it, but his weapon sharded as it hit. He seemed surprised and drew back. You alright, Shikamaru? I asked, keeping an eye on the new enemy. Could be better, he said, pulling out 3 small blades made of ice. The wound bleed but didn't appear to hit anything major. We'll need to patch this. He could have killed you, I said. So why didn't he? That was a good question. Due to the chakra-filled mist, I wasn't using my sensory skills. We had no idea that he was out there, so why didn't he take the chance? You guys run! I heard Kakashi yell. I looked to see him trapped in a bubble. Not gonna happen, sensei. Keeping an eye on this new Nin, I spoke softly to Shikamaru. You think if I hold this, one of you can get Kakashi-sensei out? Gonna need some cover. Clone army it is, I said with a smile. Soon 100 of me appeared, which gave Shikamaru the cover he needed. I kept one clone back-hinged into him, but I engaged Tanin. He used 3 simple 7s to block. I couldn't make any headway with this guy. It was a strike, block, and dodge game. So far nothing had hit its target, but I felt that was just luck. This guy was good, and there was no doubt about it. Of course he thought the Shikamaru on the ground was the real one, so he attacked it. Shock to him when it poofed away. He was distracted, and I took a chance, and it was a stupid one. I thought I had time, but I didn't, and I left myself open to a should strike, and that's what he did. With a blade formed from ice, he sliced downward into my shoulder, as if he wanted to cut the arm off. I was able to kick him away just before it got halfway to the bone. Sliding back as I landed, we both had a crash of a giant wave. I looked to see a water dragon slamming Zabuza into a tree. I tried to stop the Nin, but instinctually I reached and pain shot through me. I must have let out some noise because I drew the attention of both Shikamaru, who came running over, and Kakashi, who took his eyes off his almost dead enemy. This gave the masked Nin a chance to grab Zabuza and shun Shin away. With them gone, both of them turned their attention to me. Damn, that is deep, Shikamaru said as he grabbed a med kit. Kakashi put his headband back down. From the use of the Sharingan he was tired, but he was forcing himself to stay awake at this point. He then pulled out the signal seal to inform the team they need to hurry. Yep, and now at any point they are going to be here and I can't hinge like this, I said. What about the seal? Kakashi asked. Clothes don't change. Well, your hinges are solid, right? Shikamaru said, and I nodded. Well, then we say you have to be a girl for the side mission. Hinges dispel when injured, Shika, I said, and Ino, Choji, and Sasuke have seen Yuzu. You're the only person with chakra to do a solid hinge, so they won't know that it also dispels the same way, Kakashi said. Can you hinge the tip of the hair and eyes at least? Asked Shikamaru. Unsure. I tried, and luckily it worked, though it was a normal hinge. It would work for a short time. Good, then we just say you hinged into a look-alike of a girl you have seen in the village. He then finished bandaging my wound and I did his. Kakashi offered to help, but we had him sit so there was less chance of passing out on our way to wherever we were staying. It wasn't long before Asuma and the rest of the team came running, weapons drawn. What the hell happened to you guys? Asked Asuma as he saw me wrapping Shikamaru's wound. Of course this drew the attention of the rest of Team 10, and they came running over, accidentally pushing me over. Shikamaru! Yelled Ino and Choji as I landed on my right shoulder. Naruto, are you alright? Shikamaru said as he came to me. Sorry, Naruto, Ino said, helping me up. Again, what the hell happened? Asuma asked again. We'll explain when we get to Tazuna's house, Kakashi said weakly. Asuma then picked him up and we were off. Scene change. We finally made it to the hotel after hours of trying to explain. Sasuke of course hated that we had been given another task he wasn't aware of, but he had to deal with it. Asuma agreed to gird the bridge in pairs of 2 while the other 2 would train. I was just looking forward to sleep, and Kakashi looked as if he was just gonna fall. Welcome, said the front desk man. Are you guys alright? Just ran into some trouble on the road, Kakashi answered. We are here for the Nami reservation. This must be the happy couple to be, he said, looking at Shikamaru and I. Yes, their families believe it was best for them to get to know each other away from the theatrics at home. Yes, I understand, said the man as he went to the wall of keys. We have given you the best suit we have. Thank you. If you need anything, don't hesitate to call, and with a nod we left. We went up to the top floor to room 502. Opening the door, we got a bit of a shock. This was their honeymoon suite. Everything honeymoon related had been taken out, of course, but the red and white colors and hair-shaped pillows gave it away. When you entered, you came into a living area, and the large bathroom was to the right. To the left was a small bedroom, and across was the main bedroom with the 4-post bed. Without a second thought, Kakashi took his shirt off and walked into the smaller of the bedrooms. I trust you guys to figure out arrangements, he said. Just remember, to those here, you are Neri, Yuzu, and Shikamaru Nami. They believe you are betrothed, so around people you must act like it. He then closed the door, and I heard him collapse on the bed. I will take the couch, he said, moving to the large white leather couch. I don't. No, take the bed, but please can I have a blanket first? With a laugh I got him one. After saying goodnight I unsealed a pair of boxers and t-shirt, and was off to be. Scene change. After a long mission, being back in the village was great. I was surrounded by all the teams as they all wanted to hear the story of how my mission went. All of the Rookie 9 sat at the table at the barbecue restaurant Team 10 loved to go to, and it was going great until Sakura asked a question I dreaded. "So you just killed him?" asked Sakura. "Well, I had to. I said it was mission orders." "And you feel nothing?" asked Hinata. "No, I feel the dread, but I know that it was for the better." "You monster!" yelled Sakura. "Maybe everyone was right about you." "A demon, that's what you are," said Kiba. "You feel no remorse for the ones you killed, do you?" asked Shikamaru. "Of course I do, but they—" "Trying to blame your victim now," said Ino. "Of course she would, that is what a demon does." I turned to see a face that I had not seen in a long time. A face of a boy I once called my friend. A face of my real first kill. His name was Michi, and he was dressed the same way he was the day I took his life. "Michi? Oh, so you still remember me," he said. "I thought I would be a memory after you killed me." "You gave me no choice. I went to explain to my friends, but they were gone, and I was back in the shed I lived in during my time on the streets. Everything was the same, including myself. I wasn't in the clothes I had been wearing on moments before. Instead, I was wearing the rags I wore day in and day out on the streets of the red light district. This can't be real." "But it is," he said, then came at me with an old rusted kunai, but I couldn't move. I was trapped against the wall. He started stabbing at me, hitting me anywhere he could. He yelled at me, calling me a demon and a killer. This just can't be real. Shikamaru POV. Sleep, the best time of day. Sadly, my favorite pastime ended when I woke to the noises coming from Naru's room. I got off the couch carefully, as to not tweak my side any more than I had to. Slowly I opened the door just to check that no one had gotten in, but as I did I heard what was being said more clearly now. No, I heard her whisper while she moved restlessly in her sleep, "Michi, stop." I didn't. Knowing it wasn't the smartest idea to approach a sleeping ninja, I used Katayan, making sure I knew where her weapons were. As she only took up one side of this large bed, I got on the other. She didn't even seem aware I was present as I got closer and started thrashing. "Please stop," she cried and clutched at her chest. "Naru," I said carefully, reaching out, "wake up, it's only a dream." Of course, right as my hand made contact with her, woke up. His first reaction was to hit, and that hit landing in my gut. Second was to jump out of bed for her weapons. Lastly, it was to see what she had done. "Shika, I am so sorry," she said as she ran back to me. "It's fine, I woke you," I said, sitting up. I looked at my bandages to make sure I wasn't bleeding, and I was good. Looking up though, I saw hers was. "Let me fix that." She wanted to refuse, but I ran to my pack and grabbed fresh wrappings. Sitting on the bed, she was silent as she moved her hair to the left, giving me area to work on her shoulder. Taking of the blood-covered bandage, I realized her wound was nearly healed, something to add to the mystery that is Naru. "So do you want to talk about it?" I asked, but she shook her head. "Okay, better yet, tell me. You need to talk about it." "Just a memory of the past," she said in a voice that didn't have the musical tone I had grown accustomed to hearing. Even though Naru wasn't as cheerful as Naruto, she still brought smiles to anyone she was near. It was like her own superpower. Once you got to know the real her, you would trust her with your life. "When you were being hurt in?" I said as I sat back against the headboard. "I didn't say that," she said, twisting around. "Then who is Michi?" Sadness and dread overcame her. The girl I knew just seemed to disappear. Putting my hand on her own, I went to reassure. "Tell me." "Michi was a boy I knew when I lived on the streets," she said, coming closer to me. "He was older than most of us street kids and protected us. I was almost 7, so it was before the Hokage found me again, and he was about 12. He was like a big brother until the older kids started pulling him into their stuff. One night he came to where I hid. The older kids had told him I was the reason there was so many street kids. The reason his parents were dead. He came to kill me with the old kunai he had used to protect me so many times." "He attacked you," I said, and she nodded. I had found my own old kunais at this point, so I managed to grab one. She then looked at her hands. "You had to kill him." Then she broke down and flung herself on me. I had never seen her cry, and it made me sad just looking at her this way. Here was the girl I had come to see as the least troublesome girl I had ever met. She was strong and fearless, but now, in this moment, she was weak and afraid. Without a second thought, I began to slump down, so we were laying on the bed. Instinctually, she curled up to me, crying into my chest. I put my chin on the top of her head and stroked her long hair. This continued until it seemed she was all out of tears and almost asleep. "Am I a murder, Shika?" she asked sleepily. If you are, so am I said, pulling her close, letting her drift to sleep in my arms, and I soon followed suit. I woke up the next morning still in Shikamaru's arms. When I tried to move, he would pull me closer as not to lose me to the dreams. I carefully slid out of his arms and laughed as he reached out and replaced where I was with a large pillow. Funnier even was when he stroked it as he did to my hair. I walked into the living area to find Kakashi sitting at the table reading his little orange book. So, he said, pointing at the room. Not what I meant by you will figure it out. I had a nightmare, Kakashi, I said, and a look of worry came over him. Shikamaru came to comfort me. Get your mind out of the gutter, you perv. Is it about? He didn't get to finish. No, sensei, it's not about killing the demon brothers, I said, moving to the window. From here the port city looks so bleak, but then again it probably didn't look better from ground level either. Naru, he said, obviously not believing what I had said. Kakashi, it isn't about them. They weren't the first life I have seen or taken in my life. At this he was shocked, so I knew I had to explain. The red light district isn't the safest place in the world. First day I saw a bookie beat a guy for not paying his 1,000 ryo. A month and I saw a pimp curb stomp a girl and leave her to die. Death and violence isn't new to me. You showed us the sheet on those two before we took them out, so we could justify the kills in our minds. And you are right, those men deserved what they got. All they cared for was the money. Even when in the mist they didn't care for the mission, just that they got some kind of thrill, whether it be killing, torture, or raping someone. They would not have given it a second thought to kill us and probably would have attacked even if I didn't find them first. Even Zabuza lives by a code he doesn't break. Yes, he does what he does for money, but at his file it is noted he really has taken a life unless ordered or the person was in the way of the mission. The academy, that was the test. The mission he killed his team was to avoid being taken by us. And now he is paid to kill so he can have the money to help the civil war going on. Naru, he said, finally interrupting, what do you mean it wasn't the first life you took? Just before you found me after I stole the med supplies, I said, finally sitting in the chair, and he followed. The boy that had guarded me and others from the older street kids. He was told what I held. The reason you were injured, he said, clenching his fist. I had never told the Umbu or Gigi why I had stab wounds. Seeing him angry now, I could tell it would have been worse there. Yeah, it had happened about a week before. He stabbed me 17 times with an old kunai. That not possible, he said, when I found you there was on large wound. The beast healed the other except that one, I said, as you know it was infected. Apparently if infection sets in quick enough it slows that down. How come you never told anyone? Madame Jin told me not to. Madame Jin was the owner of the brothel closets to my hideaway and often would help the street kids. I ran to her after it happened. She had 2 of her guys take the body and dump it. She had seen Michi going the wrong path and I knew she was the only one that was going to believe me. Naru, he said softly. No, Kakashi, I yelled, standing, and he looked shocked. At this point I didn't have the Hokage. I had no one but myself. I was a demon to everyone but the younger street kids and Madame Jin's girls. I had no one to trust. Everyone only saw me as the beast that I hold. Everyone wanted me dead. Naru, he said with more force. That's when I felt the eyes on me and I knew Shikamaru was standing at the door. What do I do now? I asked myself. At this point I had started hyperventilate. Shikamaru is smart enough to realize what I meant. He is going to leave me for lying to him. Next thing I knew I had Shikamaru holding my hand. I tried to pull away but he held on tight and turned me around. He then pulled me close and held me much like he had the night before. This time he rocked slightly and I heard him whisper that it gonna be okay. Eventually my breathing returned to normal and I looked up at him. Sorry, I said. There is nothing to be sorry for, he said. You always have the front of being the toughest person our age, and hell you are, but sometimes everything will come crashing. Shikamaru is right, Kakashi said. With everything that happened yesterday I am surprised it didn't happen sooner. Add to the secrets you keep, some because you have to and other because you do, it adds up over time. Then you also have no one your age you're allowed to tell everything to. She can tell me everything, Kakashi-sensei. Shikamaru said it may be troublesome but then she has someone. And now that I know about the Nine Tails there can't be much more than that. Well, I said, looking at Kakashi. There is something more than that, he said, and I chuckled a bit. Still, I am here when you want to talk. Good, now that is settled, let's get ordered breakfast and start planning, he said. Scene change. After 2 days we had finally come up with a way to where we needed to go. For 2 days we had walked to town and learned the land. At the port we had managed to find that the port record keeper, Zuko, was still brave enough to help. Zuko's father was a ship captain forced to help Gato get specialty items. In this case, it was a small group of women. He didn't know what made them special, as Gato traded in flesh often, but he said that unlike any other groups of women, they were going straight to the HQ. This would give me a way in. This meant for a chunk of the time I would be alone. It would buy job to slip out of wherever I was held and get the files. As we got ready, Shikamaru and Kakashi asked me if I was okay with this. For the 100th time, yes, I said, changing into a pair of clothes I had traded a new set for with a girl I found on the street. The one item I kept was the black leather belt, as the hidden seals would hide my weapons. We can find another way, Shikamaru said. He had come up with a plan, and it was a great plan, just high risk. No, this is the best option. But is also the highest risk, Kakashi said. We don't know what they are going to do. They could rape me. Yeah, I'll blow my cover before that. And if they drug you? Shikamaru said. I could tell he was getting angry. What then? Luckily for me, the fuzz ball neutralizes everything but the most potent stuff, I said, sealing my saber. I don't think they will be using something that strong. And what of contact if something goes wrong? Shikamaru asked. I then unsealed 2 stone pendants and handed him one. Happy, I said, placing mine over my head. This is a one-time use distress seal. I take the stone off and grip it in my hand. It will cause the corresponding stone to react. My stone becomes a beacon for you to find me. Now if we don't hurry, we are going to miss our chance. We left shortly after and met Zuko at the Pier 12. His father had already arrived on the ship, and after goodbyes I was brought on board. All the girls had been separated, so it wouldn't cause an issue if they said they didn't see me on board. I sat in the room, making it look like I had been there for the whole journey, until an unknown man came to get me. The man didn't speak, just placed chains around my wrists, and walked me off. Along with me there was 3 other girls. The first 2 looked as if this process wasn't new, meaning they were slaves for some time. The white-haired woman was defiantly new to the process. I knew this mostly by her clothing. Much like me, she wore clothes that would be common for a traveler, while the other 2 dressed much like the sex workers I had seen in the red light district. Your last transmission said you had 3 women. The man that spoke was large and looked like some kind of enforcer. He came up to me and rubbed 2 fingers on my cheek. This one looks a bit young for what we have in mind. We found her on a small island of the coast of the land of water, said the caption. Her father didn't say why, but didn't want her. Figured with what is going on in that place she could have what you need. Very true, he said, looking at me. Might have to wait a year, but if C makes the cut, would also produce some unique features. Produce? I asked myself, but then it dawned on me. They want to breed us. Load them in the bed, he said, and 2 men loaded us, and Gato wants them all screened tonight so we can get to work with the ones that pass. I sat down, and as the last one in, I barely sat before the truck started to move. It was a long drive to the HQ, but after 45 minutes we arrived. The entrance as a large wooden door encased in stone walls that seemed to surround the whole property. The home itself looked like a miniaturized castle. It even had a tower. As they parked, I noticed Gato had an army of machineries. It would have been scary if not for the fact that they mostly looked like samurai rejects. Very few looked like they could give anyone a good fight, but I couldn't let my guard down. The men then dragged us from the truck and into some kind of processing room. There we were looked at by what I would assume was doctors. They asked every question and checked every stat they could, all of which went on paper into a file. Seems he keeps records on all of the women he brings in, I noted. We'll make getting evidence on him easy. That is when the man, that I could only assume was Gato, walked in. He was short, and his much taller bodyguards didn't help. He had a cane in hand, though no apparent need for it, and wore the tackiest sunglasses I had ever seen. He himself came and looked us over, and his attention drew to me much like the man before. This one is a bit young for the program, he said in a raspy voice. She will die the first birth. If she passes, we will have to wait a year or so, but she is apparently from the land of water, and her father wished rid of her. High prospects of a bloodline if that is the case, said the man from the pier. What's your name, girl? Asked Gato. Not telling you shit, I replied, and he laughed. A fresh one, he said. Good, that means you're a fighter, which means I might be able to breed you sooner. Get Zabaz's boy here. Shit, they must not have someone to check chakra levels other than him. I was screwed if he recognized me. The wait seemed like it took forever, but soon they returned, and I now saw the face of the ninja I had fought once. He didn't look much older than me and looked very feminine. His long hair was tied loosely behind his back, and he wore a traditional kimono. He looked at the group and started with the first 2 women. These ones have normal chakra levels, he said, though with a maid of higher level could work. This one has some unique chakra like I have never seen. Could have a bloodline but not sure, he said, moving to the white-haired traveler. Then he made his way to me and I could see he knew who I was. This one is a rare find indeed, defiantly a bloodline and very high chakra capacity. Thanks boy, Gato said with a smile. Ichi, take the normal to the regular holding. They aren't what we need. Zed, take these two to the room under the office. After that, we're dragged through the castle by Zed. I almost laughed when we started going up a tower, it just seemed so cliché. When we arrived at the room, it oddly seemed nice. Zed undid the chains, then slammed the door, locking us in. First instinct was to send waves of chakra looking for anything. When I came up with no devices, I relaxed a little, but now knowing what they wanted, it wasn't by much. I looked at the woman that was here with me now. She was beautiful, to say the least. She looked about 20 or so. He was as white as snow, but her eyes were amber. She had the look of fear on her face, but it didn't subtract from her beauty. It's gonna be okay, I said to her as I lead her to the bed. It was obvious she hadn't slept the whole way here. They want to breed us for our abilities, how will that be okay? She asked as I laid her on the bed. I won't let that happen, I said with a smile. You get some sleep. I will make sure they do nothing to you. You're trained, she said with a yawn. Yes, I am, but for now sleep, and that is what she did. I, on the other hand, looked out the window at the now rising sun. I knew I could not stay more than a day, so I had to work fast. Next day, Sasuke. Those two losers get a special mission and I am stuck with some drunk. I thought to myself as the team followed Asuma to the nearby pond. This is acceptable, we have now been here 3 days. They won't even tell us what the mission is. Alright, the today's rotation will be Sasuke and Choji being paired and Ino and Sakura, Asuma said. But sensei, that's not fair, Ino said. Yeah, we should stick to teams, Sakura said. The two then started bickering like children. Do they really think this will impress me? Neither one of them will ever be strong enough to bear a child of mine. I have already chosen my first wife, and once the council can arrange her stay, she will bear my children. Naruto left me with some of those seals, so if you don't shut it, I will do as he does. At this, the both shut up and I had to smirk. Anyway, today Choji and Sasuke will be working on water walking. Ino and Sakura will be at the bridge and I will be bouncing between each group. Why isn't Kakashi here? I asked. It would make this much easier. Because he can't so deal with it, Asuma said, but as he said it, Kakashi did appear. Did I hear my name? He asked, looking at his book. Mission over? Asuma asked. In the works, he said. Shikamaru is keeping an eye on things at the moment. Bet Naruto Baka is being no help, Sakura whispered to Ino, but I could tell Kakashi chose to ignore her. I just came over to give you an update, he said, turning to Asuma. Alright, do what I have assigned and I will be back to check on you all. Then they left, and I was left with Fat Boy. Later, still Sasuke. Tazuna's daughter had supper waiting for us on the table when we all entered. It was simple rice and fish, but with as many mouths to feed, I didn't blame her. She went from 3 to 8 overnight, and Choji could eat them out of house and home. So Sasuke-kun, how was training? Sakura asked, and I ignored her. I was intrigued by Choji's and Ino's conversation though. So you think Shikamaru is missing Yuzu yet? Choji asked. You bet he is, she said. That boy spends more time with her nowadays than cloud watching. She is probably bored alone back in Konoha, he said, taking another bit. Shino said they had a messenger mission, which means she doesn't have Hinata either, so Hinata is important to her as well. I could use that for leverage if needed. Why do you all bother? Asked Tazuna's grandson. You're all gonna die anyway going against Gato. Inari. His mother yelled. We aren't gonna die, kid, cause we aren't messing with Gato. Asuma said we are here to guard your grandfather, that's all. If he attacks us, then we will deal with it then. We aren't going after him, I said. We should take the problem out at the source. It is not our job, Sasuke. With that I was done and went to the roof. I needed to hit something, but I know I couldn't leave. 15 minutes after I came out, Asuma and the old man came out and stood on the porch. I sat above. So you aren't getting rid of Gato, said Tazuna. This group isn't, no, Asuma said while lighting a cigarette. Kakashi has it handled. With those two, I hear what the pink-hair one has said, he said, pulling out a flask. She said they were bottom of the class and the emo boy always calls them losers. Yeah, but they are a lot different than they seem. He then took a long drag. Shikamaru has an IQ well over 200 and I don't think Naruto is too far behind. Naruto is a master of stealth and regularly avoids the Umbu back home. The Hokage seems to have a plan for the two of them, but as of now I don't have a clue what it is. To soil the hands of innocent children, he shook his head in disapproval. They both know their duty, and these children have never been innocent, he said, looking at the ground. My two in there have been heirs to ninja clans since birth. Sasuke was second heir to the most powerful clan in the village until his brother killed them all. Sakura was the only one to be a child, as she is civilian born. And the other two? Shikamaru is also a clan heir but has more pressure on him than my other two. His clan seems relaxed, but their training can be brutal at times. Naruto, well, he is a very long story, he said, playing with the lighter. He is an orphan that lived on the streets at 4. Hokage couldn't find him until he was about 7 after he stole from the hospital. His body showed that he had been beaten, probably over food with the other street kids. The boy trusts practically no one. He only trusts Kakashi because of past interactions and the Hokage's word. I am surprised he trusts Shikamaru as much as he does. Still, those two seem the most innocent, and they are with the man that will take the life of that man. One of them may even do it, but they know why it must be done. They are doing it to not just protect those here in the wave but everywhere that man has his claws into. That's when I had enough. Those losers won't have that honor. I must prove I can kill that man, I thought as I hopped away to find Gato and prove I was better. Neru. The woman, who I found out was named Sakiko, slept until noon. She then told me about how she had been traveling from her home village in the small country known as the Land of Light. The country was far west and had never wanted anything to do with us countries to the east of it. She chartered a small boat of the Land of Claws and was captured by the men that sold her and the two others to Gato. My homeland doesn't use chakra at all, so when I was born with an ability I was considered an outsider, she told me as I hid the food our guards had brought us. I had placed some in my seals so we weren't at risk of being drugged. I don't know how to use it though. Is that why you left? I asked, handing her some bread and fruit. If I didn't, they would have killed me. They don't take kindly to outsiders there. Well, you could always come back to my village, I said. A ninja village? Wouldn't they want me to be a ninja? It is a ninja village, but unlike many of them, we have a high population of civilians as well. They may ask you to start a clan cause of your ability, but you don't have to if you don't want to, I said with a smile. I can even talk to the Hokage for you. Hokage? The village leader. Kage is the title of the leader of one of the 5 great nations. Since it is the land of fire, we have the fire shadow. And you know this man personally? He is one of the people I trust with my life and secrets. He is also like my grandfather, so that helped. She laughed and agreed to leave with me. Time passed quickly after that, and soon night fell. I had decided that tonight I would get the files. Only issue was I didn't have a distraction. If anyone came in while I was gone, the alarm would be sounded. I also didn't want to leave Sakiko alone, as they said they wanted to get to work quickly, and a shadow clone wouldn't cut it. That meant they were bound to send in their stud, and there was no way in hell I was going to let them touch me or her in that way. I was mid-plan when I heard the key in the lock. We had already received dinner, and it was nearing midnight, so this was not a good sign. I pushed Sakiko into the corner, and was ready to unseal my saber as the door opened to reveal the masked ninja. I unsealed my weapon as he quickly shut and locked the door behind him. Not here to hurt you or her Konoha Nin, he said. Why should I believe you? I didn't give you way to Gato and his men, did I? He was right. For the second time since meeting him, he could have killed me and he didn't. Why didn't you? You're on a mission that has nothing to do with my master, he said. Honestly, I have no reason to have you killed. It also sickens me what this man is doing. That is why I am willing to help you get what you need. If he sickens you, why did you agree to be his stub in this project? I said, lowering my saber just slightly. 'Cause any other man he would have picked would not have been gentle with the women. They would have beat them into submission, as I have seen them do. I would not do that to them. I had planned to be calm with them, and nothing happened the first few nights. Alright, then I need to get Gato's records and then we need to get out of here, I said, moving Sakiko to sit on the bed. You can act as a decoy. What's your name? Haku. Well, Haku, you will stay here. And do what? Act. I then gave him my plan as I unsealed a dark set of umbrella-like clothes. He and Sakiko would make the sounds of sex while I scaled the side to enter the office above. After I got what I was needed, Haku would help us leave by distracting anyone we came across. It was fairly simple if things went as planned. After I was dressed, I scaled the side, though it was raining it wasn't too hard, and came to the office quite quickly. Across from the door was a large, elegant desk with a leather chair. On either side were bookshelves lined with books and rare treasures. On the left sat 3 filing cabinets, each labeled with a different product he traded. I had to work quickly as I unsealed a scroll and grabbed many of the files in each cabinet. The last cabinet I grabbed everything as it was his for the people he bought and sold. With this information Wood could find them and help them. As I finished the seals I heard steps and immediately jumped into the rafters. 2 men entered and one was the man that had brought us here. He had 2 folders in his hand and sat at the desk. So Zabaz's man was fucking that whore good by the sounds of it, said the unknown man. Yeah, well, he better be done soon. I want to turn with him, he said. The young one seems feisty and that boy won't touch her yet. He is too soft and won't want to hurt her. And what if she gets pregnant, kin? The boy said she defiantly has a bloodline, meaning Gato wants offspring from her. I will wrap it for now, but fucking her will be satisfying, he said, just seeing her fight, and then that feeling drained from her eyes as she loses. Can I have some of that too? He asked, licking his lips. Why not? We can have a good ogre on them with us and the guards after they boy is done. By the end the whores will want more, he said, laughing, and I was done listening. Before Kin could react I dropped down and slit the throat of his buddy. Kin fell back and I stabbed him, pinning him to the wall. How? He stammered. Not everyone is afraid of you guys, I said before slitting his throat and throwing him top of the other. Grabbing the new files and I sealed my saber. I then scaled down back into the room where Haku and Tsukiko were moving on the bed making the sounds of sex. If I wasn't covered in blood I would laugh, but we needed to hurry. After some interesting sounds from Haku the sex was over. Why are you covered in blood? He asked. Had to kill 2 people, and yes, that means the plan to get out changed. I said the guards are bound to check on them soon. With a nod we got ready for plan B, which we didn't have. I had to think, but as I did Haku formed an eye slide out the window. After I leave, slide down so the guards at least see her, and once I get to the next floor and see you of the ice I will shatter it. Thank you, Haku. No need, we will be fighting again soon. My mission for the bridge builder is not over. Then I will see you there, I said as I moved out of view so the guards wouldn't see me since I was covered in blood. Haku locked the door, and I heard muffled talking to the guards as if to buy us more time. Quickly I put Tsukiko on the slide and followed behind. As we hit the ground I saw the shadow of Haku in the window, and the slide vanished. After a nod we were off and almost to the back wall when the alarm went off. I grabbed Tsukiko and jumped on top and searched for the best path. Of course, just as we jumped off one of the men saw us, but now we had a lead. Get on my back. But this will be faster, Tsukiko, she nodded and got on. Once secure we were jumping from branch to branch. With a simple misdirect I lead them away from both the town and Tizuna's. My plan was to get far enough away from both places and find a good spot to send out a shadow clone decoy. Then they followed the shadow clone's Tsukiko, and I would head to the hotel. The rain had picked up at this point, and it would be harder for them to search. This plan went out the window as I came to a clearing, which would have made a good diverge point, and found Sasuke. What the hell are you doing here? I yelled after hinging my whiskers and red bit of hair. Doing the mission that you seem to be running from, dope, he said. Why, you are still transformed as a girl? It's for my mission team and Gato is not your mission, I said as I sent out a wave of chakra to find 15 men getting closer. Sasuke had taken too much time and now I didn't have time for my plan. Take her to Tizuna's and don't let anyone but Asuma see her if you can. You're not my boss, dope, he said as I placed Tsukiko on the ground and hinged a clone into her. As you are interfering into my assigned mission I am so go well I lead them away. I then looked at Tsukiko. I will be there as soon as I can. You can trust Asuma. Then they were gone and so was I. As I ran I pulled off the necklace and held it tight in my hand. I continued to run until I made it to a secluded beach. The rain was now a full-blown storm as all 15 of my pursuers reached the beach. Well, looks like the little horse has nowhere to go, said the man that seemed to lead the group. Well, joke's on you, I said before causing the henge clone to disappear. He didn't waste time grabbing me, causing me to drop the stone I had. Normally I would fight back, but I still had to buy some time, so for now it would play out. Where is she, bitch? He asked. Somewhere you won't find her. He then threw me to the ground and proceeded to kick my ribs. You can't kill her, Kuro, said one of the men, stopping him from kicking me. Now that we know she can use chakra, Gato will really want her. Well, then he wants her offspring. Let's will fuck her here and now so he gets them. This caused all the men to cheer. The waiting game couldn't last any longer. As he went to grab me, I pushed away. Feisty little bitch. He lunged again and unsealed my saber again. This caused him to back off, but he commanded the others to come at me. This is when things got a little weird. Just like at the genin exam, time seemed to slow, except me. I moved at normal pace, so I took my chance. I sliced my way through the men, though I no fatal wounds. I just wanted to get away at this point, and killing them served no purpose. I made it through all 14 of the men and then to Kuro, but as I got close the phenomenon stopped. As it stopped, I found I had no energy but still had momentum as I slid across the muddy sand to his feet. Don't know what that was, but I don't care, he said, picking me up by my collar once again. At this point I was a bit dazed, and what happened next didn't help the feeling. One moment the man had me in his grasp, the next I fell to the ground as his arm was chopped off. I heard faintly someone yelling my name, but I was tired and wanted to sleep. The person was shaking me, but I let the darkness take me. She looked so peaceful, and if I didn't know better I would think she was asleep. I had been worried the whole time she was out of view. We had followed he to the base, but we had both been at the hotel when it happened. Hell, we hadn't known what was going on until we arrived. We heard what the men wanted to do and I was ready to act, but then yellow and red lights surrounded her, and Kakashi held me back. To me she became a blur of yellow and red, but Kakashi seemed more shocked as he mumbled something about it being impossible. Before my eyes 14 of the men fell to the ground injured. As the blur went to the last man it stopped, and she slid across the ground to the man's feet. He grabbed her, and we no longer stayed put. Kakashi sliced the man's arm that held her off. I caught her just before she fell to the ground. Kakashi finished all the men off quickly and came over. Without a word he picked her up and we walked to the hotel. We slid in through the open balcony as to not draw any looks in the lobby. Kakashi laid her in bed and had me start cleaning her up. Which led to this moment where I was wiping off the mud and blood off her. Gently I took off her overshirt, shoes, and pants. I was relieved to find she was wearing a sports bra and training shorts underneath. Before I could finish I heard a knock on the door, and quickly closed the suit door to let her rest. Kakashi answered the door to find Sasuke, Asuma, and an unknown woman. Confused, he let them in. "Why are you here?" I asked, walking away from the door. Asuma pushed Sasuke forward and led the women to the couch. That is when I realized she had been one of the women at the port. "Tell them where you went tonight," Asuma said to Sasuke, who only grunted. "That's order, Genin." "I went to go do the mission I should be on." "What?" I asked. "You heard me, loser. You shouldn't be on this mission." At dinner Sasuke questioned why we weren't going after Gato, Asuma started to say. I stated it wasn't our job, to which Tazuna was then confused, so I said you were handling it. Sasuke then listened into a private conversation between me and the client, then went off to do what he thought he had right to. There he ran into Naruto and this woman. "The name is Tsukiko," she said. "What happened after you found them, Sasuke?" Kakashi asked, but he wouldn't answer, so he slammed his hand on the coffee table, startling the boy. "Answer now." "The dope ordered me to take the girl." "So you're the reason Naruto is the way he is right now," I said while gripping my fists. "The dope was running from the mission, loser," he said, as if he knew her plans. "If I hadn't been there he would have been caught." "And what do you mean the way he is?" "Naruto would have a plan, Sasuke, as when we found him he was holding of a group. I don't believe he had planned to fight," Kakashi said. "As for his condition, he is unconscious and I don't know when he will wake up. If you had stayed where you should have been he would not have been almost killed." I wanted to hit him, but before I could move Asuma gripped my shoulder. Without a word I knew the message he was trying to relay. If I hit the council's precious Uchiha I could be under the microscope when we arrived back in Konoha. "Tsukiko, why don't you get some rest in the room over there while I talk with my student?" Kakashi said with an eye smile. Tsukiko nodded and went into Kakashi's room as Kakashi ordered Sasuke to stay on the couch while we went to check on Nara. Nara hadn't moved since I left the room, and without a second thought I went back to cleaning her. The blood seemed to have seeped through her clothes and stained her skin in spots. Asuma was in complete shock as he saw her. "What happened?" he asked, but I couldn't answer as I still could not explain it. "I believe she awoke a bloodline," Kakashi said while leaning on the post of the bed. "I have never heard of a bloodline that could what she did, sensei," I said, remembering the yellow and red light. "Neither have I," he said, moving closer. "Though it looked like a Justo I haven't seen in 12 years. "Are you saying what I think you're saying?" Asuma said. "Yes, somehow her father's jutsu became her bloodline," he said, looking at her. "I also don't believe this was the first time. Tonight was just the night it decided to come out from the shadows." The genin test, I said. She told me she pushed Sakura out of the way, but I have been to the grounds and that's not right, is it? She did push her, and I have been trying to figure it out since then. It seems that back then the power was starting to stir. Her body realized it needed it, and tonight she needed all of it. Then why is she unconscious if this isn't her first time? I said, moving her hair. Because this is her full awakening, Asuma said somberly. It's a lot for her body to take, and there is probably a lot of changes her body is going through right now. What doesn't make sense is how her test never showed a dormant bloodline. He has many time to make sure, but not for a few years. So it had to start developing after that is why it wasn't caught, and that isn't good, Kakashi answered. Why? There are 3 types of bloodlines, Asuma said: elemental, physical, and chakra. Elementals don't cause much issue awakening, Kakashi said. Physical tend to be body-related like digestives, and they sometimes can cause issues. Chakra-based normally have some complications, and that is what her mother's was. This though doesn't quite look to fit in just one, and that can be dangerous if not monitored. This would be classified as a physical and a chakra because it seems to require a change in body and chakra. We should get her back to the village then. It's better she stay here. These changes can be unpredictable, and if moved it could be worse for her, Asuma said. I knew he was trying to reassure me, but I just worried more. Mindscape. I thought for a moment I had fallen into the ocean, but realized the water didn't smell of salt. Instead, I opened my eyes to see dull bricks and pipes flowing everywhere. As I sat up, I saw bars and behind them large red eyes that could only belong to one being. How did I get in the seal? I asked. You're in your mindscape, not the seal ape, it said, coming into the light. For the first time I got a good look at the beast that made my life hell. It was near 10 stories tall with deep orange fur. It had black around its eyes and on its muzzle. Overall just as menacing looking as the stories told. Okay, why am I here? You think you would be grateful for the one who turned your father's most powerful jutsu into a bloodline for you, he said with a sly smile. You what? Oh, you heard me, he said, laughing. It wasn't hard. You had the base of a bloodline due to your mother, but not the rest. There was no way in hell I was dealing with those chains again, so I gave you the Haration. How long have you been doing this? I was tested for bloodlines. Yes, because your mother's could cause complications when awaking couldn't get that away and probably made it worse, he said, yawning. I have been working since your last test. I overheard that old man and your doc saying he was sure you didn't have it, and got to work. What do you mean made it worse? Well, this new one needed physical and chakra changes. Don't worry, you won't die, wouldn't let that happen. At this I couldn't speak. An ancient beast developed a bloodline from a Justa he had likely only seen once or twice. He used a baseline genetic code for a bloodline. I wasn't going to get to create this new bloodline. The question was why? Why did this beast want me to have this? Why do all this for me? You wish to protect that place you call home. Yes, I nodded. Well, then this will help you then. But I don't know everything you can do other than the speed, so careful not to kill yourself with it, will you? Thank you, I said as I could feel myself waking up in the real world. I could have sworn I saw a genuine smile as I left. Real world Naru. I opened my eyes and began to look around. Kakashi was in a chair in the corner while Shikamaru was in a chair laying his head by my feet. The side table had a cloth and a bucket of ice, and as I moved a now warm damp cloth fell off my head. I sat up without waking Shikamaru and even managed to roll out of the bed without a stir from either one. I moved to the mirror to see the physical changes that my bloodline caused. Any baby fat I had left was gone and replaced with muscle. Now before I had a decent body, but now my figure popped. I looked a hell of a lot more feminine, as if my body had moved through a stage of puberty. It has, said a voice that was no doubt the Ninetales. Great, you can talk to me now. Plus after you make first contact, but don't worry, I won't torture you. The seal won't let me. Your old man thought of almost everything. What were you saying about the puberty? Well, your body has progressed farther so it can use your bloodline more effectively. You didn't grow in height, but it needed the muscle growth, so it did it. Develop them differently than a normal human as well, he said, then laughed. Looks like you will have to work on physical control with it. You are much stronger than someone with the same development due to the change in your muscle structure. As you get old, I believe more changes will be in order. Now I am off to sleep. Damn fox, I mumbled as I turned to see Tsukiko at the door. You're finally awake, I see, she said. They will be quite happy. How long was I out? 4 days. So we are a week into the mission, I putting my fingers through my hair. Zabuza would be just about recovered and he was still bound to attack the bridge builder soon. You must be hungry, she said and lead me out to the dining room where food was waiting on the table. I was going to get the guys awake when I heard you, so I think you should get dibs. With a laugh I dug in. I was starving after 4 days practically in a coma, but kept it civil to talk to Tsukiko. She told me she talked with Kakashi and had told him everything that had happened while we at the HQ. She also said that Sasuke was a piece of work. As we came to the end of course she had to ask. So are you a boy or a girl? Girl, but not many know that. Please keep that secret, I said leaning back. Sasuke is a piece of work that is power hungry and I don't need him thinking I can get him that power. Just as I finished speaking we heard a thud from the other room followed by frantic searching. I would have laughed but instead moved to the door to find both of comrades looking for me. Neither noticed me as Kakashi went to the closet and Shikamaru looked under the bed. Maybe you should try the more obvious place first, I said laughing. Naruto! They both yelled. Kakashi ran and gave me a hug before Shikamaru could even move. Still sore, let go, I said and he let me go. We moved back into the dining room so they could eat, and I went over what the Nine Tails had told me. I could see the worry on Kakashi's face cause this mean things were going to get complicated. The council finds out, and we are going to have issues, he said. If it's genetic it will be so troublesome, Shikamaru butted in. Add to all that I don't exactly know what it can do or if it has side effects. So it gave you this, and it doesn't even know how it works, Kakashi said. Tell him to stop calling me in it. I am a male, I relayed the message and they were shocked. I mean he can hear us, Kakashi said. Yep, has always been able to, now he just can talk and the seal prevents any messing with my mental state. If I had met him while I was younger then maybe he could have, but too late, I said. Anyway no, he doesn't know much even though it is his creation. He used base genes I had from my mother so it could cause some unexpected results. What a drag, Shikamaru said and I couldn't help but laugh. Next day. With our mission assigned to us done we could finally check out of the hotel. We walked to Tizuna's with the plan of me staying and guard the house while the guys joined the teams. Normally I would complain but I was still sore. Though this would mean it was back to being sealed away as not to draw suspicion. They arrived at the house just in time to hear plates shattering and yelling. Tsukiko hid behind a tree as we surrounded the front door. Looking in I saw two of Gato's sword-wielding buddies and Tizuna's daughter Tsunami. His grandson Inari came running down and was smacked across the room as they tied her up and started to drag her out. We moved to give them false sense of security but as they walked farther we got the advantage of surprise. Shikamaru was the first to act and put his blade through the heart of the smaller man. The larger man reacted and dropped Tsunami. I then jumped in and grabbed her as Shikamaru finished the second man off as Inari came out of the house. I cued the ropes and she ran to her son and Tsukiko joined them. You need to get the bridge, Tsunami said as she came out of her shock. We planned on it, Kakashi said. Naruto, you. All of you, she insisted. Those men said. Gato had a group of men headed to finish the job if Zabuza couldn't. Without a second thought we were off, leaving them to get back into the house. We made it to the bridge to see Ino and Sakura guarding the old man. Asuma was facing Zabuza, and that didn't seem to be going so well. Choji and Sasuke were in an ice dome, no doubt placed by Haku. Under the bridge lying in wait was 3 ships with Gato and his men. With a nod from Kakashi I was off under the bridge while he and Shikamaru went to help the team. Once under I hid my chakra and sat on the roof of the boat that held Gato. It was my job to see what his plan was. Why don't we just go now, boss? Said one with a nasally voice. Because we need Zabuza to get rid of the Jonin, and now that the other one had joined even more so, Gato replied after hitting the man with his cane. Just make sure those girls are alive. We lost 2 the other night for our breeding program and they can replace them. What about Zabuza's boy? Kill him and make Zabuza watch, then kill him. I don't need to waste money on them that way, he said with an evil grin that rivaled the Nine Tails. He had something to do with the escape and the deaths of my men. Not going to happen, Shorty. I may not care for Ino and Sakura, but there was no way I was letting that happen. So I had to make a plan and the best I got was to get Haku on our side. So I crawled back up to find Haku in the dome. Now closer I could see it was mirrors that he was using to jump into. Really inventive, but we could talk later if we were able to. I moved into the mirrors to realize that my bloodline let me see the fast speeds as well. Due to this I was able to see that Sasuke, who was guarding Choji on the ground, was blocking the Senbons that were coming at him. He didn't even see that Haku was about to put a kunai in his back. Without realizing it, I moved in a flash and blocked the blow, pushing Sasuke back. "Hey there," I said. Haku drew back but didn't retreat back into the mirrors. It took him a moment to realize who I was and he took off his mask, but he didn't lower his kunai. "We need to talk." "Naruto, this is the time," Sasuke yelled as he charged, but I held my hand up with the seal I used on his fangirls and he stopped in his tracks. "Big boys need to talk, Sasuke," I said, looking at him, then went back to Haku. "Now me and you can make a deal and have this work." "Are you sure about that?" he asked. "He is the enemy, Naruto," Choji said. "He helped me, now it's my turn," I said, which Choji grew shocked, thinking I was turning traitor. "Not like that, Choji. The guy paying their fee is about to double-cross them. No need to fight then, Haku." "Right," he said, lowering his weapon. With a wave of his hand, the mirrors around us shattered. "We must tell Zabuza then." Then we were off, leaving confused teammates in middle of a Jonin battle. Probably not the smartest move, but Haku and I both blocked Zabuza's blade as it was about to hit Kakashi. This of course stunned those around us, but as I explained they seemed to understand. "What isn't this for me then, just not to leave you all here to Gato's mercy?" Zabuza asked as the rest of the teams joined. "How about a cut of Gato's fortune, but you have to promise me something before I lead you to it." "You can't give that kid," Tazuna said. "The rest will got to the wave other than what is needed to pay for these missions, which your protection should have been B and mine was A," I said. "There is enough there to get this country back on its feet 100 times. Plus you would only get 25% and 50% to the country." "Baka, that doesn't equal 100, yelled Sakura. "If you would have let me finish. The last will be set aside to turn Gato's HQ into a recovery center for all those who have been trafficked by anyone," I said. "It is only right." "All right, kid, what do I have to promise?" "That you will go to the fight with the rebels in the civil war, not this rouge shit." This seemed to shock him. "That money will help fund them greatly, and I can tell you love your village even if you don't want to say it." "And how is that?" "Rouge means disown their village by slashing their headbands. In all the years you have kept yours without a scratch." "Figured out by a 12-year-old, he said with a laugh, then outstretched his hand and I took it. "You got a deal, kid, and what's not used in the war or the rebuild I will have the new Kage help look for those trafficked." Just as I shook his hand, Gato and his men climbed the bridge. Realizing what was going on, the short man grew furious. It took him a good while to speak, but eventually he did. "You damn ninja can't do anything right," he yelled, and his men charged. We all took stance, but Asuma, Kakashi, and Zabuza pushed us back. "Let us handle this one," Asuma said, lighting his cigarette, and then they got to work, and we all sat in watch. In a little over 20 minutes, only Gato was left standing. All three men stood around him, and I walked over, leaving my team. "Mercy," he whimpered to us. At this I hinged into my female body to show him what I really looked like. "You weren't going to give me or any other person mercy, so why should we give it to you?" And for a moment I felt the nine-tailed chakra surge within me and knew I must have shown some physical signs. The man dropped to his knees and began to shake at the sight of me, and I let out a growl before Zabuza took the man's head off. As the chakra drained, the exhaustion hit me. I dropped to a knee and dropped the henge over the seal. Kakashi then placed me on his back. "A little too much too soon," he said with a smile. "You can't judge on this one, and I-san," I said, laying my head on his shoulder. Asuma of course laughed, as he knew Kakashi's tendency to work until he couldn't. "No, I can't," and then we were off. It took another week to finish the bridge and another to finish settling Gato's estate. The Wave Daimyo gratefully agreed to the deal and thanked us endlessly. He even agreed to pay more than both mission requirements. The plan to turn Gato's old estate was in swing, and plans were being drawn up as we prepared to leave. Zabuza left before the bridge was finished, but Haku had agreed to keep him in line. He even would send me letters with updates on how things were going. Though before they left I had to talk with Haku, since he had seen my gender and knew I was hiding as a boy. He said he would keep my secret since he understood, as he hid as girl many times because it was easier. Though he was curious if he had been right about the bloodline, to which I told him I now had one, though not what it was. Sasuke was grouchier than ever the last 2 weeks in the wave. He had gotten his Sharingan, but he was still not satisfied. He was still pissed at Shikamaru, and I had been given a mission that he hadn't. Worse now was that the wave was seeing me as their hero. As much as I tried to tell them it was all of us, they wouldn't take it. When the bridge was finished, the daimyo decided it was a bright idea to hold a ceremony in honor of the team. Each one received a necklace as a token of friendship, but I got that, a scroll from Gato's vault, and the bridge named after me. They named the bridge the Great Uzumaki Bridge. There was even a plaque made. Of course, this pissed off Sasuke and Sakura. Ino surprisingly was on my side as a fight broke over the meal that night. Today, of course, we had to make your way back to the village, and that was trouble in itself. Kakashi, Asuma, and Shikamaru had agreed it was better to keep my bloodline on a need to know, meaning them, Tsukiko, maybe Nero, and myself. It wouldn't do me any good having the council on my ass until after the Chunin exams, so until then I was free. This was going to make training hard, but it was worth it. Though Tsukiko wasn't a ninja, she rode on Kakashi or Asuma's back, which allowed us to make it to the village fairly quickly. We entered the gates just before they were due to close for the night. At this point I wanted to rest, but it was off to the Hokage for what would turn into a long explanation. So you both did your jobs and then some, he said. Well then, other than Sasuke, Naruto, the team leaders, and Tsukiko, sir, she said, and he nodded. Tsukiko, you are all free to go, he said, taking out his pipe. You can pick up pay tomorrow, but you have the week off to recoup. Shikamaru, I suggest you go right home, as I don't need an angry Nara woman in my office again. I will debrief you tomorrow. As he left, I heard the troublesome, but I gave him a nod telling him I would see him after. With them all gone, the Hokage took his time to pack his pipe and light it. He finally turned back and began. First off, Sasuke, congratulations of awakening your Sharingan, he said. Thank you, sir. It was, Sasuke started to say but was interrupted. I wasn't done, he said in voice I had only heard him talk in when he was pissed at some prank I had done. You interfered in another's mission, and could have gotten yourself or Naruto killed. What made you think that you were needed in this mission? Well, sir, both of those you sent had the lowest scores in the academy, sir, Sasuke said in a very political tone. I didn't think they were up to it, sir. You didn't trust my judgment? No, sir, but... There is no buts in this line of work, he said, slamming the desk, which caused us all to jump. You will be going to the council in the morning to be reprimanded for your actions. Be happy I do this and strip you of rank. Now leave. With a grunt and a nod, he was off. Now it was my turn, I feared, as he turned to me. I hadn't done anything like Sasuke, but I still didn't follow protocol. So last week I received a very interesting message, he said, looking at me, from the person who may be the next Mizukage once the civil war is over. You did, I said nervously. Yes, apparently she would like us as an ally once things are settled. He said something about you bringing them back, a great asset to their cause. Well, all I could do was smile, as I had no idea what to say. What you did, I winced, waiting for the yelling, but it didn't come. Has given this village an ally it hasn't had since the first war. Good job. Really? I said, ignoring the chuckling coming from both Asuma and Kakashi. No yelling? Oh, I could, he said, shaking his head. This mission could have gone wrong, Naru. I could have lost you in more ways than one, but that's the risk I know you take. It was fortunate that it didn't go wrong. You also brought us 3 assets that we are not likely to lose. 3, Gigi? I know the mist, but what others? Yes, he laughed, the wave has put us as at the top for all mission requests along with trade. Miss Tsukiko would be another. As I understand, you don't want to be a ninja, am I right, Tsukiko? Yes, sir, my ability falls and help the injured, not taking lives, she said. She had briefly told us about her bloodline. She could gather what she called moon energy to heal wounds of all kinds. She even said she believed it would work on illnesses, but as she was able to use it in her home country, she didn't know its limits. And I am willing to offer you medic nin training, and when a little more trained, the rank of Chunin medic. You will still need some combat skills, but that is only to protect you if you ever have to go out. I would enjoy that greatly, sir. Also, when the time comes, you may establish a clan if you so choose, or if you marry into a clan, have your bloodline become part of their clan. But that doesn't have to be decided now. Thank you, sir, she said, overjoyed. What about a place for her to stay, sir? Kakashi asked. The council gets wind they may try to force her. Yes, well, I was thinking of that. Since Naru hasn't and can't take clan status yet, she can't protect her, and it may seem fishy if Asuma does as a Saratobi. You want me to take my official seat? At this I let out a chuckle. Yes, I was going to talk to you anyway, as the Hataki seat has been vacant too long. The civilians are trying to remove it so that Danzo get an official seat. Wait, if they can do that, then why haven't they gotten rid of the Senju or Uzumaki seat? I asked. Senju will always have a seat as a founding family, and the daimyo protects the Uzumaki seat with a passion when they have tried in the past. The Hataki seat has no such protection. Well, then guess I have no choice, but who is to vote in a matter if I cannot attend? Kakashi said. That you can decide after tomorrow's meeting about Sasuke and the new developments. For now it is late, and as the protection clan you must find a place for Tsukiko to live, he said with a smile. You are all dismissed. Oh, and Neri, you also need to be debriefed, so please drag that lazy Nara here by 10, will you? Will do, Gigi, I said as I ran out. Day 1 of RNR. After the debriefing, we decided to show Tsukiko around the village. When that was done, it was time to swing by Ichiraku's to see Ayam and Shursui. Coming into the shop, I was greeted by a joyful 3-year-old. You made it back, he yelled as jumped in my arms. Well, of course I did, I said after I spun him. Why wouldn't I have? I had a bad dream, he said so quiet it was almost hard to hear. You left like Daddy did in the dream. Well, you don't need to worry, I said, trying to put on a smile. I wouldn't want to ever leave you, and I know your daddy didn't want to either. Do you remember what I said before I left? That you would bring me home something, he said with excitement. I then pulled out what I had brought him. To many it would seem odd, but it was a wooden sculpture or the bridge. Tazuna was good at carving, and when I mentioned needing to find a souvenir for Shursui, he was happy to help. This is a carving of the bridge we help protect, I said. And it is even named after her, Shikamaru said quietly so that no one passing would hear. Really? He said, looking at the bridge. Yes, really, he said. Your aunt was amazing out there. Cool, I can't wait to be a ninja so I can see the bridge someday, he said, and we all had to smile. After a bit of storytelling and ramen, we were off once again. Turns out Kakashi had put Tsukiko up in his childhood home. He would of course be joining there, since as an official clan head he would have to live in the clan home, but it would keep her safe. After dropping her off at the house, Shikamaru and I started to make our way through town. Only we ran into Sakura in the market. You losers got Sasuke a mark on his record, she yelled. Of course this drew the attention of all the people in the market. He did that on his own, Sakura, Shikamaru said as we tried to push past, but she wasn't having any of that. No, he didn't, it's your fault, she screeched. At this point I could see the crowd getting a bit angry, though the few ninja in the crowd seemed to just want to know more before judging for once. That bridge shouldn't be named after a baka like you. And because of your lies, Sasuke can't go on the next 2 C-rank missions. He could have gotten a hell of a lot worse, I said, fully aware of the mass of people that could soon turn to a mob. He shouldn't have interfered in a mission he wasn't assigned. He could have gotten Tsukiko, myself, and more importantly himself killed Sakura. Now I want to go home and relax, so out of my way. I pushed the girl out of the way, which did cause a few of the civilians to react. I knew it only took a few to create a mob, but to my surprise the ninja stepped in. This allowed me and Shikamaru to get away. After that the rest of the night went pretty smooth. Day 3 of RNR. After a relaxed day it was time to train. My new bloodline was going to be extremely handy at times, but if I couldn't use it effectively it would be worthless. The Chunin exams were coming up in 4 months, and I knew the council was going to make Kakashi enter use whether or not we were ready. Having the Horatian, as I decided to keep the name, would be a trump card in the exam. No one expected it, as practically no one knew it existed. Since I didn't want to show it to my teammates, I decided to open the scroll that I had been given. It was larger than any other scrolls you would normally carry. Hell, I only knew one girl that carried a scroll this size, and that was for the massive amount of weapons she needed. It wasn't just the size that seemed odd. The outer paper was red with white swirling patterns. It was also held locked by a seal, and not one I knew. It was beyond my level, but I wanted to keep looking into it. Of course, as I did, I got a damn paper cut, and to my shock the scroll opened. It had been a high-level blood seal, but that drew questions of its own I didn't want to answer, since Shikamaru would classify it as troublesome. I opened the scroll and saw only names and got excited. It wasn't because I knew the people that the names belonged to, but because they shared my last name. This was an Uzumaki scroll, and not just any scroll, a summoning scroll. Without a second thought I signed the scroll in blood. Of course I still had no idea the seals I needed or what animal it was, but that didn't matter. After signing I replaced my transformation seal and went to find Kakashi. It wasn't hard to find him, as Guy was trying to challenge him in the middle of the village. Without a word though I grabbed him and shunned Shinwei. When we landed outside the seal barrier, as we couldn't enter my sealed land by flicker, he was a bit confused, and more so when I dragged him to the lake. What is the rush? He asked as ran to the house to grab the scroll. Without a word I showed him the scroll and he smiled. How the hell? I don't know. Gato must have scavenged through Yuzu, or someone else did. I said. Hell, it could have been lost before the fall. It was lost just before your mother got a chance to sign it. She never mentioned what the animal was, though she said it was revered in Yuzu. He said you need the seals though, don't you? Please Kakashi and I beg, you know I have the chakra, so please teach me. No need to beg, he said. He then stated the seals slowly so I could see. Boar, dog, monkey, and ram were the signs. Kuchios no justu. With a poof, 8 dogs sat in front of me. The only one I knew was Pakin, who was a little brown pug sitting on a larger black bulldog's head. The bulldog was in the center, so the last 6 sat around him. Hey pup, Pakin said to me, then looked at Kakashi. So you need us? Not particularly, he said. Nary he needed to learn the summoning jutsu, and I though you guys would like a visit. Why don't you introduce yourself? As you know, I am Pakin and this big boy is Bull. The newly named Bull barked. He doesn't speak. Imurishi, said the angry-looking white and grayish-brown dog. Shiba, said the one with the mohawk-like fur on his head. Baisuk's the name, said the one with the shinobi kanji on its head. Akino, said the sunglass-wearing one in a way that very much reminded me of Shino. Ahei, said the red greyhound. At first I thought this one might be injured due to the bandages, but he showed no signs. Pleased to meet you, I'm Guruko, said the one that had a striking resemblance to my male persona with the way his fur was and his whiskers. Now why don't we meet the animal you're going to be called your partners, Kakashi said as I started flying through the signs. Kuchios no justu, I yelled, and then there was a large cloud of smoke. When it finally cleared, there was several otters standing in front of me. There was an older black-furred male, a gray-furred female, and 3 little ones each a different color high. Finally, the older one said, do you know how long we have been waiting to be summoned? Dad, it's not this girl's fault, said a gray-furred female. Much thanks, dear. Mom, what are these? Said a little one with blue fur on, looking at the pack of dogs. Of course, this one and her white-furred sister ran to them, leaving the little yellow brother behind. The mom, of course, instantly went on guard on sight of the dogs, who began to growl. Down, boys, Pakin yelled, and they did. Sorry about they haven't seen your kind of summons before. Oh, Pakin, I haven't seen you in ages, said the mother otter. Confused, I gave a look to Kakashi, who looked just as confused. The otters live in the river basin that divides the minor and major summoning clans, Pakin said, explaining. Mizuka and I used to play when we were pups. Enough, said the older otter. We have a new summoner to handle. What is your name, child? Naru Uzumaki. And who is your Uzumaki parent? He said, inspecting me. No way, you're a full-blood Uzumaki with this hair. Kushina Uzumaki. Oh, little Kushina, all grown up now, said Mizuka. I was supposed to be her familiar. It would be great to see her again. I am sorry, but she passed the night I was born, I said. Oh my, and what of the rest of Yuzu, said the old one. It sure does look different. This isn't Yuzu, I said. Yuzu was destroyed almost 30 years ago. It was a catalyst in the Thread War. I am sorry to say, but most and not all other Uzumakis died in that assault. If they survived, I don't know where they would be. How did you find the scroll? Or even open it if no one has taught you Yuzu seals? The Wave Daimyo gave me the scroll from the collection of a trafficker. As for opening, I got a paper cut, and the blood fell on the seal. It looked more complex than any blood seal I have seen, though. Well, then we have a lot to teach you. I am Kodai. He said, and the reason it was so complex because it was a blood seal, so only the royal family could open the seal, or if they should all perish, the next in line. I guess I will have to teach you these things along with Yuzu customs. My father is the tribe historian and current seal master, Mizuka said. I am as well a seal mistress, but also work with potions. My children here are elemental just like their father. We didn't expect you, so we don't have a familiar, but it would be an honor if you chose one of them. Normally it is the first one you summon from our line, but we were curious, so we all came. I'm Myoto, said the large blue one. I am a water type and will be specializing in healing. I'm Fuka, said the white one. I am a wind type and I will be specializing in battling. I am Rai, said the little yellow boy of the bunch. He spoke quicker than the rest. I am a lightning type and I want to be a seal and stealth specialist. Oh, come on, Rai-chan, no way you're gonna be able to do both, said Myoto. Yeah, Fuka agreed, and we don't have a stealth specialty. Girls, their mother said. What, we are just saying what he has already been told by the instructors have said, Fuka said. This is why he hasn't started training yet. Well, I can help with his stealth, I said. That is one of my specialties. Wait, you pick him over us? Both girls said. It doesn't mean I won't call you guys, but he will be my familiar, yes, I said, picking up the little guy. Does that mean he stays here? Of the most part, yes, though I think we should set a portal to the summoning world from here, said Kodai. We will have to talk to your Hokage. The lake and falls would work well for you, Pakin said, jumping down to water. And it falls on Uzumaki land so I can be seal off, Kakashi pointed out. Alright then let's go talk to the Hokage, I said, and we were off. Last day of R&R. It took a few days, but I was now used to the little otter running around my home. He seemed to love being away, though once the portal was up and running there was plenty of friends coming and going. Having an otter just randomly appear on my step I knew was going to get normal eventually. All of them, though, had been told about my status. They had easily agreed to stay quiet about them. They understood all the dangers each put me in, and they didn't want to risk the Uza line. They had been confused on my gender at first, but it worked itself out. Every day Kodai would come by to instruct both Rai and I on seals. He would also teach me the history of my clan. Turns out that the Uzumakis were descended from the daughter of the sage of the Sixth Paths. Of course the legend never had said anything about her because she was not the daughter of his wife that bore his sons, but when he took, well, they were gone. Being as the sons were not around and the daughter was born just after his death, the oldest brother, the founder of the Uchiha, did not recognize her. The younger brother, founder of the Senju, had accepted us, but without the Uchiha brother's acceptance she could not claim her heritage. Everything I learned was amazing, but today was the last day for R&R, so it was time to meet with my team. With Rai on my shoulder we headed off to Training Ground 7. Sasuke and Sakura were already there, and I was ready for the cold shoulder, but once Sasuke saw Rai I guessed he couldn't. "What is that dope?" he asked, pointing to Rai. "Never seen an otter before," Rai said. "It talks!" Sakura screamed, and she went to hit him in fear, but I moved, causing her to fall. Both Rai and I had to hold back a laugh. "Yes, he does," I said. "His name is Rai, and he is my familiar from the summoning otters." "Summoning?" she asked. "How did you get a summoning contract?" Sasuke asked. He was angry, but I didn't care. "Turns out the scroll I got from the Wave Daimyo was a summoning scroll that once belonged to the Uzumaki clan," I said. "Honestly, it was just luck that I got a paper cut and a drop fell on the blood-locking seal." "You don't deserve a summoning contract, dope." "You give it to Sasuke." "Not gonna happen," I said, petting Rai's head. "It's a clan contract, meaning they wouldn't accept you." "You don't have a clan," and there it was again. The denial that Sakura had every time my clan or country of ancestry came up. "You're an orphan. You don't have a clan and never have. The whole village knows the truth and all you do is lie. Why do you even try with that damn story about the whirlpool? I looked up the clan and the country in the library, and they don't exist. Just because the damn civilian council tried to erase my history doesn't mean I don't have one," I said, taking a breath to calm down. "They can try all they damn want, but while I am alive that history survives. Now that I have someone to teach me my clans, I am not going to let it die. Oh, and by taking out the Uzumaki history they are hurting this village. Who crest do you think is on the back of Chunin and Jonin vests? Who do you think stood beside the first Hokage when this village was being built other than the Uchiha? The Uchiha and the Senju are the only founding clans, dope." "Technically yes, but the Uzumaki had already the land of whirlpools up and running. That country was basically a large ninja village. The Senju and Uchiha asked the Uzumakis to help. In respect, our symbol was intrigued into this villages as the swirl and the leaf. The sister to the clan had married the first Hokage. And when the whirlpool fell, our symbol was put on the back of all the vests in red." "Lady Mito didn't have a clan either," Sakura yelled. "She took Senju." "Naruto is right, Sakura," Kakashi said, startling us all. I had been so into correct her that I left myself open. Lady Mito's clan name was Uzumaki, and there is still a seat in the council that is held in honor of her. Though her children never took the name, hers never changed. She was an Uzumaki until her death. "Wait, if there is a seat, then can the dope take it?" asked Sasuke. "The clan is typically matriarchal, but if no other Uzumaki comes to Konoha, he could petition to restart the clan here," he said with a simile. "But enough of that time to get down to why you were called." "Why were we called sensei?" Sakura asked. "Today is our last day off." "Because I have already been informed that the girls of Team 7, 8, and 10 along with Kurenai-sensei and Naruto will be headed out 2 days from now. Tomorrow we will be using to get you all ready to work together." "Wait, why is Naruto being included in a girls-only mission?" Sakura screeched. "Because this mission calls for 4 young girls, and since no others were available, his transformation skill will be coming in handy," Kakashi said, looking at me with a smile. "I have been asked to have you show up tomorrow to practice as a girl. That way the others see you." "Oh, come on," I mumbled. "It's like he wants me to get caught or something with all these transformation missions. What is that old coot thinking?" "This will also be a C-rank mission," Kakashi continued. "I expect to hear you that you do as Kurenai-sensei tells you to." What will I be doing while they are away? Asked Sasuke. You will be doing D ranks in training, he said. Oh, and Naruto the Hokage would like to see you about the mission. And when did he expect me? I said, knowing Kakashi's tardiness habit. An hour ago, he said with a smile, and then I walked off. Hokage's office. I made it to the office to find he was currently busy, so I just waited outside the door. I also chatted with Aike, his longtime secretary. She was an older woman who was always nice to me, and I suspected knew who my parents were. Every so often she would bring my father up as she was his secretary, as well, which gave me an inkling of a hint that she knew. All I cared is that she never stopped me from seeing Gigi. Even if he was in a big meeting, she would tell him, via a special button, that I was outside, and the length of the light meant how urgent she thought I needed him. Gigi finally made it out and waved me in. When I entered the office, I saw Kurenai sitting on the couch and Asuma leaning on the far wall. As I got comfortable in my seat, Kakashi appeared by the window, closing it behind him so Gigi could activate the privacy seal. So what's this all about, Gigi? I asked. Your next 2 missions, Neru, he said. I need you to observe both how the guys and girls differ. Why? Simple. I need to get control of the academy again, and showing them how ill prepared the new genin are will do that, he said. The last few years the graduation rank has been extremely low. Only 1 team wasn't sent to the reserves last year, and the year before it was 2. We need more active ninjas, and we can't wait for their 2-year mandate in the reserves to be over. Then why isn't Teams 9's Kyunanki included in the mission? I asked, leaning back. Guys, Kyunanki is very well set, Kakashi said, plus he team doesn't know any one of you, so it could compromise the mission. You are the only option, Neru. But why him, sir? Kurenai asked. I know his transformation is amazing and soiled, but if the Uemi Island found out about him, we would be in trouble. They don't allow men. Neru, would you show her why you? Really, Gigi, that makes too many people knowing. She should know, Neru, Asuma said, finally chiming in. If you are hurt on a mission with her, knowing this will be a big help. If it's about you know what I do know about it, she said defensively. I don't have a problem with it, Naruto, so that is not the problem at hand. My name is not Naruto, I said with a sigh, knowing Asuma was right. I was bound to have her as a commanding officer on other missions, and though careful, a major injury would make the seal drop. What? You haven't seemed to notice that all of them have been calling me Neru, I said, standing up. I sat right, how had fallen asleep in my pocket, on the table, then bit my finger. With the blood I released the seal to show her the real me. My name is really Neru Uzumaki, and I am a girl. She was speechless as she stood and inspected me. She reached out, admiring my long hair that was so much different than the short style I had as a boy. She also seemed to measure me with her eyes, as I was also taller than my male form. Of course, then it came to my chest, which, though bound, to make it easier for the seal to hide, was visible through the mesh shirt I wore. I must say, for a 12-year-old, you're well developed, she said, which kinda took me by surprise. Yes, well, I said. As Gigi didn't know of my bloodline, we had to come up with something to tell him about the sudden muscle change. After the wave, my guest seemed to think if it was best up my physical strength and look. That is not what she meant, Neru, Kakashi said with a laugh. That's when I got that she meant my female body and other aspects. Of course, this got me red-faced. At those purple eyes, and you will be drawing in then left and right, she said with a laugh. And I will beat them all away with a katana, I heard Kakashi mumble and had to laugh myself. It seems the whole being my big brother went to that aspect as well. Now back to the task, Gigi said, drawing us back to the matter. These missions are twofold really, though you will only be paid for the one this time. That's fine, Gigi, I said. I was set on money, so it really didn't matter, plus I figured it was more of a side mission anyway. Well then, on this one you will be going to the Uemi Island. They want help making sure their Kyunanki program is up to snuff and have asked for our assistance. And the other mission? Will be to their brother island called Penoi Island. The mission is essentially the same, except they don't allow women on their island. If either one allows the opposite gender, how do these places stay populated? Both belong to the same country. Asuma said the country is made up of the islands of Penoi, Uemi, and Magnolia. The country itself is the land of flowers. Penoi and Uemi are their ninja islands. Kakashi informed me they believe that men and women should be trained separately. So when active duty they are in training, they are required to live on the island. Okay, so my mission is to help with the academy and watch my comrades, but why was this meeting needed now? Well, you're going to be going to UME in your female form, and tomorrow they will all see if many of your classmates have seen Yuzu. Well, Yuzu doesn't have the whiskers, GG, so that's easy to keep. Yes, but one of your teammates seems to be trying to get Yuzu for his own. Is he asking the council? Yes, he is, and though he is too young at the moment, they are looking for the father to ask for courting rights. Great, so I still have to hide. But that is where the seal comes in handy. How? I had you hinge your eyes and hair when in the wave when they first saw you, Kakashi said, walking over. Yeah, but that will be harder to hold for that long. One slip and my eyes and the red show. I said I am surprised I held it that long with my shoulder. I am going to add another seal that will allow you to keep what you have hinged on you, Gigi said, pulling out his Fuinjustu equipment. Only thing is, once it is activated you won't be able to take it off. It's only a one-time use seal. So I won't be able to use my male form at all, will I? Correct, he said, motioning me to lay on the couch so he could start the seal. I took off my coat, exposing the back of my neck where the seal would be placed. Silently I let him work, only thinking of how troublesome these missions were gonna be. With the seal in place, I activated it the next morning before going to the training field. It was decided it was best to stay in the hinge then as well, since it wouldn't break if I was put in a genjutsu. So that morning I put the Yuzu outfit on, kinda enjoying being able to be myself for a bit, even if I was missing parts when I looked in the mirror. I made it to the field to see everyone, except the senseis, waiting. I laughed as Kiba looked as if he was gonna pass out. I had time to warn Shikamaru and Hinata the night before, so they didn't react as if it was well me. Damn, you're hot as a chick, Naruto, Kiba said. Well, thanks, Kiba, I said. I do try my best. I just realized something. Ino said, I know you had this last mission, but I just noticed you look like Yuzu. Of course, this got everyone's attention. All of those who had seen Yuzu agreed, but I could see Sakura getting angry, as she had never seen Yuzu but knew Sasuke was interested in her. Sasuke also was getting angry. Change dope, he said. Yuzu doesn't need someone like you ruining her good reputation. I can't, I replied. First, I have asked Yuzu to use her image since we are similar in looks. Second, I have a seal placed on my neck, so I am like this until it comes off. Without it the hinge could be broken. And lastly, I would never ruin her reputation, team. Just change it, he said with his anger slipping through. No, I said, seeing what he would do. He came up to try and grab my shirt but slapped his hand away. Yuzu wouldn't want a dope like you looking anything like her. I'm afraid you don't know anything about Yuzu, Sasuke. The tension between us could be cut with a knife. It was broken though when the senseis appeared and they broke us into group. The rest of training was pretty easy. Sasuke kept giving me glares and Sakura pissed because she knew that the person Sasuke wanted was better looking than her. Ino kept giving me tips on how to be a girl, and though I already knew how to girl, it was nice she cared. The rest of the group was kinda quiet about it until the end of training when Sakura had to bring it up again. I still don't see why Naruto has to come to this mission, she said after Kurenai told us what we would be doing. It's not like he can teach them anything since he didn't take Kyunanki classes. Do you ever wonder why he was chosen to infiltrate Gato's base last mission? Asked Kakashi as he rubbed his temples. She didn't answer. She knew that only a girl could get in the way I did, but she also knew she and Ino weren't even asked. It is because his set of skills he has. What do you mean, sensei? Asked Ino. Naruto has from a young age put up a front. Asuma said he fooled the whole village into thinking he was a stupid kid, and he's nowhere near that. He has been able to outrun Umbu since he was 8, even in that kill me orange suit, Kakashi said. Add to that ability of his solid transformation and his information gathering skills, and he is a shoe-in for the spy network. Jiraiya of the Sannin didn't even have this strong of an ability at this age. That still doesn't mean he can teach the Kyunankis, Sakura said as she crossed her arms, pouting. I can teach them that skill, as I already know they didn't teach that in our Kyunanki classes here, I said. That's cause we don't need it, she argued. No, you need it, but the council took it out because as a Kyunanki you might have to seduce someone to get the information needed. I said the council knew most of the Kyunankis were civilian and thought it was wrong to teach you to do that. And you're saying you could? You already saw how Kiba reacted to this body and how defensive Sasuke got when he realized I looked like a girl he has the hots for, I said, then lowering my voice to be more seductive, and then went up behind Shikamaru, rubbed the back of fingers on his cheek. It's not that hard if you play it right. What about sleeping with someone? She said, knowing by the look on Shikamaru's face that a seductive voice worked. You're a boy, are you saying you would sleep with a man of this body? If I had to, yes, I honestly said, stepping away from Shikamaru. In this kind of henge, I have all the right parts. It would be awkward, but it would be a last resort. Wait, Kiba interrupted, you don't have a a penis, I think, is what you're trying to say, I said with a laugh. In this body, no. It changes my whole form. It was weird when I first did the transformation and had to pee, that I wasn't lying about. When I first took the male form, it took a while to figure out how to pee, so saying in the reverse situation wasn't that far off. That's just sick, Naruto, she said before storming off, and I had to laugh. After that, we were all released, and Shikamaru, Hinata, and I went back to my place as we did often nowadays. Hinata only left for a short time to get her things for the mission, as she decided to stay at my place so we could head off in the morning. Shikamaru knew his parents wouldn't care, and he also wanted to stay the night. This had become common enough. I made sure to have a chest with blankets and pillows next to the living room set I had bought after the Mizuki mission. You know it's not that far to your house, I said as we pulled out the blankets and pillows, setting them on the love seat for Hinata. You're just being lazy, aren't you? Maybe, he said, putting his own stuff on the recliner. At this rate, I might as well get you a place to store some clothes, I said with a laugh as Hinata came in. What I miss? Just how, as much as Shikamaru stays here, I might want to get him a place for cloths, she giggled, but he just ignored it. The rest of the night was fun as we talked about the upcoming mission and just the general happenings of the village. I kept secret on my little side mission. I knew either one of them was the issue, but I didn't want them to feel as if they were. Soon it was time for bed, and we all went to bed. Mindscape. I was hoping to have a good night's rest, but it seemed the Ninetales had a different idea in mind. Walking through the damp corridors of my mind, I made it to him fairly easily. There he sat waiting for me, but didn't say a word. I have a mission tomorrow and would like real sleep. Even with you here, your body gets rest, he said. I need to warn you. Warn me? I asked. What would you need to warn me about? The Uchiha who seems to want to claim you as his mate, he said, almost as if in fear you cannot let him take you. I didn't plan on it, but why are you so afraid of that? His relatives are the reason for my impressment. I will not be controlled by another one of those with the cursed eyes. Are you saying an Uchiha broke you out of my mother? Though I was trying to escape on my own, yes, one did. I did not plan to attack the village. It was the last thing on my mind at the time. If he realizes this, can he control you from inside me? Only if you submit to him as his mate, or he forcibly takes you as his mate like that old fool says he is trying? Guessing you me if I marry him, I said, confused why he said mate. No, mate, he said, rolling his eyes, as the one you bind your soul to. As my host, you have this ability to bind your soul to another's. This happens to all Jinchuriki, so if he finds that out, he can bind you to him, then he controls the both of us. You're kidding me, right? I wish I was, but do know it will take some years before you will truly know if you can find your true mate. You only have one true mate in this world, but if he finds a way around that, our will is gone. I think it is time for you to explain what the hell having you and me means and does to me. To my surprise, he agreed and started to explain everything that made me different from anyone else. Mission. Hinata and I left early the next morning, leaving Shikamaru a note to watch over my house while I was gone. Rai was excited for his first mission, and his mother